WFTV Sports presents the Class 3A State Championship game. This afternoon's game features the Mexia Blackcats taking on the Vernon Lions from Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Skip Boyden along with Barry Mahler. Both teams come into this afternoon's football game with identical records at 12-2-1. Also, they have a heck of a running game, and we will see the ball kept on the ground a lot.
Most definitely, Skip. Both teams like to run the ball. They've got two very capable running backs. But if the situation should arise, both teams can go to the air and be quite effective with the passing game if the need arises this afternoon.
Now, we always hear that to win a championship, it takes defense, and both teams have came here on their defense.
That's exactly right. But Coach Lombardi said one time, a long time ago, you can't win a ball game without scoring points. So these guys are going to have to dig down and find something to put on the scoreboard before the afternoon's over.
As far as the other part of this game is concerned, it will be the last game for both of these ball clubs, no matter what the outcome here this afternoon. But one bright spot to think about it, I talked to both coaches before this afternoon's game, and they said that they would rather see a co-champion. So don't worry about the penetrations this afternoon. Throw those away. Both teams are playing for win, lose, or draw.
No doubt about it. And, you know, Skip, one of the really neat things today is the fact that these are not just two schools playing. These are two communities in Texas, and they're here in mass to support their football teams. This is what Texas high school football is all about.
Let's touch up right quick about Mexia. Of course, they alternate quarterbacks. Offensively, they didn't move the ball that great a week ago. What are they going to have to do?
Well, of course, they've got to run against a bigger Vernon team, and their defense is big. They're experienced. Vernon had some problems in their interior line early in the season, but they've grown each and every week. They're a better football team now than the last time I saw them play, and they're going to be more impressive. And one thing that is going to be interesting is that Mexia comes with several different formations. You never know what they're going to pull out of the hat. In fact, they may do something different this week than they've done all season long. They may have a surprise.
All righty. Earlier, before the start of this ball game, we had a chance to talk with both coaches, and we'll show you those interviews right now. With me right now is Norman Cobb, head coach of Mexia. And, Coach, what's your game plan in coming into this afternoon's ball game?
Well, we're going to try to stick with what we've done all year, just try to play defense and eliminate the turnovers if we can.
A week ago, you only scored 7 points, but it was enough to win the ball game.
Well, our offense has kind of drugged their feet the last few weeks. We're going to have to play better offensive ball in this ball game.
Now, we know that you rotate your quarterbacks and everything. Will that be an important factor? Everybody always talks about, oh, that never works, that never works. It has worked so far for you.
Well, this is the third year that we've done this, and it was caused by the death of a young man 3 years ago, and we ran out of quarterbacks, so we've been shuttling them in ever since.
All righty, talking about some other things, you've also overcome some personal problems yourself.
Well, yes, I went down last year, and then my father went down this year right during football season in the playoffs, and so we've overcome a few things.
All right, you're right, Crick. Defensively, what are you going to have to do to stop them?
Well, hopefully to eliminate the big play. They've been scoring from way out, and to eliminate the big play.
All righty, the weather a factor at all? It is hey, at least the sun is shining, huh?
Right. No, the weather shouldn't be a factor.
Coach Leo Britton, head coach for the Vernon Lions, coached this prior to the state championship game. How have you prepared this week?
Well, we had a real good day Tuesday and Wednesday. It was a little cold Thursday and Friday, but of course we're trying to find some way to move the ball against Mexia's defense. They play outstanding defense, and we think that's going to be the key to our having a chance tonight.
Are the Lions healthy coming into the state final?
Yes, we've got everybody healthy. We had one young man, a right cornerback, number 22, Tony Whiteside, had a sprained ankle, and he's doubtful for tonight, but he may get to play.
Coach, you had a kind of a slow start at the first start of the season. What was the turning point for the Lion football team?
I think probably the Hershey ball game. They're a good Class 4A ball club. We had a lot of injuries in the early part of the season. About that time, we got everybody back. And, of course, we started district the next week, and now we won, I think, 10 in a row now.
Weather going to be a factor today?
Oh, no, I don't think so. It's nice tonight.
Coach, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You heard words and thoughts from them. Now, let's take a look at the weather conditions for this afternoon. Of course, you're getting a look at it right here. The afternoon high is supposed to get about 20 degrees, and the best way to sum up the weather conditions. It's cold out here, huh?
You bet it is, especially on the fingers, and that might affect the ability to pass the football this afternoon. But I'll tell you what, I think the team that's going to have the advantage here today is the ones that forgets the weather, forgets the hype, sets in and executes their game plan.
All righty, coming up next, we will take a look at the road to the state. We'll find out how both of these two teams got here, and we will also take a look at the game plan for this afternoon. We'll do all of that as our coverage of the Class 3A State Championship continues on WFTV.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
And welcome back to Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas for this afternoon's state championship ball game. Right now we are going to take a look at what the two teams have done a week ago. And you will see what they have done a week ago in the playoffs in the semifinals. You will take a look at what Vernon did as Vernon defeated Gladewater by a score of 28-16, and Mexia just getting past Needville by a score of 7-6. Some other state games being played this afternoon across the state in the state championship weekend here. Of course, Odessa Permian playing at Texas Stadium. They have a 14-0 lead over the Mustangs there. On down the line, also a game being played at the Astrodome. Chapel Hill taking on A&M Consolidated. That game should be about at the half or in the third quarter. And as far as the Class 2A game is concerned, that will get underway a little bit later on tonight from Kyle Field at College Station. And the Class A state championship game as well was supposed to have been played last night, but I think they're going to play it this afternoon due to the fact it was too cold and snowy up in Abilene.
You bet it was, Skip. I tell you what, we had wondered if weather wasn't going to be a factor here this afternoon, but really and truly, other than your fingers being a little bit tender due to the cold breeze that's blowing, it's really pretty nice down on the field, and everybody ought to settle in and play a pretty good game.
All right, and let's take a look at how these two teams got here. We'll take a look at the road to the state. First, we'll take a look at Mexia as they come into this afternoon's ball game with a 12-2-1 record. And you take a look at what they have done throughout the season, and also the road to the playoffs as well on down the line. Now we will switch it over and take a look at what the Vernon Lions have done throughout the season. Of course, they were the District 5 3A champions as they defeated in the first round Breckenridge by a score of 31-0, and all the rest of the teams there. And of course, the Iowa Park game was their last district ball game, and they won that one by a score of 48-14. Let's take a look at some key stats right now for the Mexia Ball Club. You'll get a chance to take a look at their leading rusher as it comes up on the screen right there. Michael Jones, that's the key man that Vernon will have to key on here this afternoon. On down the line, you take a look at what Roberts has done, Burks, Miller, and Miller. Of course, they alternate at the quarterback position. They also can run out of that as well. And you'll take a look at the passing statistics for both of those two players, for Randy Miller and for Chris Miller as well. On down the line, we'll take a look at who they will be throwing to. They don't throw the football much, but if they do, you will see more than likely Rodney Smith as the leading receiver, along with Kevin Morton coming out of the tight end position. And now we will see the scoring department and what they have done all year. And we talked about Jones, and that will be their ball carrier here this afternoon, will be Jones for Mexia. In just a couple of seconds, we'll get a chance to take a look at the Vernon Lions, what they have done. But right now, let's go down on the field
Stevens.
And hit the coin toss.
Okay. Coach Burton, need this to give to Coach Burton. Please give this to Coach Burton. Give this to Coach Cobb. Okay. All right, this is our coin now. You're the visiting team. Call it in the air, please. He called heads, right? It is heads. You can make your choice now, or you can wait till the second half. You're going to wait till the second half? Okay. Frank won the toss. Defer the option. All right, your choice now. You get the ball. All right, you want to receive. Which end you going to defend? We'll defend that end. Okay, turn your back there. Maroon over here. All right. Maroon's choice. Receiving here. Have a good game, man.
Alrighty. The Lions will get the ball, and right now let's take a look at what the Vernon Lions have done offensively. Richardson, of course, their key man, the only player in Vernon history to rush over the 2,000-yard mark, and there you see his numbers, 2,028 with 29 touchdowns on down the line. Perkins will get used at the fullback position. Darian Favors, who had a good key run a week ago, will also get some playing time at the wingback position. Bess also coming in as a substitution at the fullback position. Passing, Collins their only passer. You see the numbers on him. 75 completions on 143 attempts, and 16 touchdowns with 7 interceptions.
Tell you what, Collins, Vernon doesn't like to throw the football that much. I mean, they're basically a running team. They build their offense around, of course, that outstanding running back that they've got in the backfield, and they don't feel like they have to throw that much, but they can throw if they get pinned down. Going to be interesting, Skip. Vernon is going to take the ball early, and you know when you get into this quality of football in the state championship game, it's going to be very important for Vernon to come out and establish that running game early and take control here and possibly get some points on the board early. They need to get out and set the tone.
As far as throwing the football, they like to throw to Lewis if they can get him open in the deep pattern. That's what they will be trying to do here this afternoon. You see the numbers on Lewis, 10 touchdown catches, 543 yards on down the line. You take a look at Knight. Favors coming out of the backfield. Witten at the tight end position has also caught a few. And Richardson along with Grant. Let's take a look at the interceptions. Coker with 9, and he returned 3 of those for touchdowns, by the way, in the secondary on down the line. You'll take a look at Knight, Fly. Nava, a key linebacker, has also been able to pick off 2 as well. And you take a look at the scoring. Richardson with 32 touchdowns. Of course, he is the key man. Of course, offensively, that's what you're going to look at. It will be Richardson going up against Michael Jones here this afternoon. You see the numbers on Richardson, 194 points on 32 touchdowns. Lewis, along with Malone and the rest of the guys in the scoring department. In just a couple of minutes, we'll take a look at some of the key players in this afternoon's ball game. Plus, we'll take a look at the keys to victory, what it's going to take for one of these 2 teams to win the state championship. We'll do that as our coverage of the state championship continues on WFTV.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
Back at Pennington Field, let's quickly take a look at some of the key players that you will be keeping an eye on here this afternoon. Of course, we already talked about Richardson against Jones. Of course, at the both of them play the tailback position, and you take a look at the rest of the guys.
Well, of course, Collins will be quarterbacking for the Lions all afternoon, and they'll be splitting quarterbacks for the Mexia Blackcats. Kind of interesting that you'd have 2 quarterbacks from the Mexia Blackcats with the same last name from a small community like that, and yet they're not even kin, but they're both pretty effective. One of the few teams, I guess, in high school football running the dual quarterback. So a lot of folks have tried it. Some people weren't successful, and they got away from it. So it's going to be an interesting matchup as far as quarterbacks are concerned, and a little bit hard to keep up with sometimes as we go back and forth. Skip, we're about ready for the kickoff. The hype is over. The pregame preparations are over. We're about to kick off this state championship game.
Alrighty, Richardson is back deep at about the 5-yard line, awaiting the kick, and there it is, and this ball game is underway. Richardson takes it at the 5-yard line, across the 20, and brought down right at the 25-yard line, and that's where Vernon will take over 1st and 10 from there. Let's take a look at the keys to victory. This is what both teams are going to try to establish to do here this afternoon.
Well, no doubt about it that Richardson's going to have a good game. That's number one on the list for Vernon because of the fact that he is the big gun. Anytime you've got a 2,000-yard rusher in your backfield, he has got to carry the load this afternoon, and he needs a good one. And that's got to be the key. And, of course, if you go on the other side, they'll have to shut Richardson down, force Vernon to go to the air, and try to win the ball game this afternoon. And here come the Lions from scrimmage.
We'll take a look at the offensive line here right after this first play. Collins working out of the eye, the very first play from scrimmage. Play action and rolls to the left. Looking, has a receiver. It is caught right at the 31-yard line.
Kind of an interesting way to open up for the Vernon Lions. We've sat here all afternoon and talked about how they would be a running team, and they come right out and go to the air right away, and that's kind of interesting to see Coach Britton open up with a passing play on the first situation. Vernon establishing the air game here to start with, and then pick up the 5. That'll bring up the 2nd and 5.
Favors makes the catch. He was brought down by Brian White, and you take a look at the offensive line and the offensive backfield on the call. Pick up a 5 on the last play. It is 2nd and 5. Again out of the eye. Long count. They give to Richardson. Richardson trying to go off tackle. He is close to the first down marker, across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. And that is one thing that Vernon wants to do, as talking with Coach Leo Britton. He says they want to try to run right up the middle, try to run right off tackle.
Well, they certainly have the strength to do it because Richardson is a power runner. You can bet, Skip, that the players from Mexia have just about memorized number 25 all week because they know he's the big gun for the Lions and the one they're going to have to stop. I believe we've got a first down, although we're going to measure. It's that close. Boy, Vernon would love to have a first down here and establish the game, and they've got it. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Lions. Ball resting out on about the 37-yard line, and the Vernon Lions alive and well here in the first quarter.
The very first down of the ball game, and in talking with Norman Cobb, he said he wants to make Vernon drive the football. He doesn't want to give up the big plays this afternoon. He says if they're going to score on us, we want them to have an established drive. Nothing quick. So the very first down of the ball game. So it is 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. They work out of different variable offenses. So far they've worked out of the eye in the first 3 plays of the game from scrimmage. Here comes a trap to Favors. Favors to the far side, still on his feet, and then finally rushed down by number 44, Rodney Smith. Smith held his position at the nose guard position and brought him down.
I'll tell you what, he tried to turn that play back inside, and that was probably a miscue on the part of the running back that time because he had a step or two on the outside, and he saw things begin to close up, came back inside, and what did he find? But the nose guard was home, and he made the play.
We'll get a chance to take a look at the Mexia Blackcats defense on this 2nd down call. Another long count. Richardson breaks a tackle, flag on the play as Richardson goes down the sideline. They say he steps out at the 47, but a flag thrown down right at the line of scrimmage. Chris Roberts finally runs Richardson out of bounds, as we will have to check the flag. And they said if Richardson can get to the outside, that's what he likes to do. We'll get the call. Offside penalty called against, as you take a look at the replay.
Well, Richardson had enough room there for the first down. He came outside, boy, he poured on the steam, and he was looking at the goal line, but he just managed to get a little bit too wide, stepped out of bounds, and that stopped the forward motion. Vernon's still alive with a first down as they continue to grind it out here in the first quarter.
9:52 here, and enough for the first down. As mentioned, they move it up to the 47-yard line. Collins again, going up against the 5-2 defense of the Blackcats. So they don't do too much stunning. They just play you straight up. Right up the middle. Nothing going for Curtis Perkins. Perkins' first carry of the afternoon, and he is stuffed right at the line of scrimmage by linebacker Rodney Freeman.
Well, Collins tried to fake that one that time and thought he could pull a little bit of the defense back out around the end with him on a kind of a fake option play that time, but it didn't work. They read it very well, and away we went. Well, there's officials on your screen now. They'll be the gentleman
maintaining control here this afternoon in the state championship game. Here come the Lions.
Second down call, second and about 8 from their own 49-yard line. They pitch it to Richardson. Richardson, nope. Richardson across the 45-yard line. Somebody lost their pad in there.
I sure thought it was the ball, Skip.
Well, we got Director Barney Self hollering the ball is loose, but actually the pad had...
Somebody claimed it. I didn't see who picked it up. I agree with you. It looked like the ball.
Richardson picks up a couple and moves inside the 45 to about the 44, which will set up a third and short situation.
Skip, this is a crucial conversion down for the Lions. They need to keep this one going.
We're seeing the Blackcats what they can do here defensively. As we mentioned, both teams got here due to the defense. Richardson, they ran out of time. 25-second clock. Richardson was looking at something saying, am I in the right setup or what? Meanwhile, I believe they ran out of time on the 25-second clock. And that will back them up 5 and may change the play selection just a bit. Instead of third and short, it will be third and long now.
Well, let's see if Collins will pull a passing play out of the hat on this one, see if he can connect on it. They need to keep this drive alive. Boy, they would love to drive down and score on this first possession of the football game.
You just saw what Vernon does on the ground and what Mexia gives up defensively. Third down call. Wideouts up top and down at the bottom. Collins to throw. Has protection. Decides to tuck it away this time. Across the 45, and he will be shy of the first down. Rodney Freeman, again, one of the first men to get there.
Collins was wanting to turn it back inside that time as he came around the right end, and there was good pursuit by the defense coming around, and they hit him just short of that first down, but it's going to be just barely short. So the Lions could come back and make this one. They're going to bring the chain across. It's very close.
Well, up here looks like it's a little shy, but as we mentioned, the sticks are on the far
first
side.
Down.
It's a
No,
stretch.
it's going to be short. It's short.
There it is. Short by a nose. The Vernon fans are on their feet yelling, go. It's up to head coach Leo Britton, though, to see what he decides to do on early in the ballgame.
That's exactly right. I tell you, that was a crucial third down conversion for the Lions. They really needed to convert on that to keep it going. They wouldn't give up terrible field position at this point if they went for it and missed, but still, when you're in the state championship ball game, you've got a lot of talent on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and you don't want to give up anything, especially this early.
Well, you're exactly right, Barry. Every little thing counts as well. Every little thing that you do right and every little thing that you do wrong, you're going to be ridiculed as a coach or ridiculed as players for why didn't you make that decision or why didn't you do this or that or the other.
In Texas, Skip, you don't back into a state championship game. You work to get here.
They have decided to go for it. Full house backfield, everybody in tight. Maybe look for Collins just to take the dive over on fourth down. He does. First down. Vernon keeps the drive alive.
Well, that'll keep the Lions alive as they continue to eat up yardage and eat up the clock. Skip, 7:35 showing on the scoreboard clock now in the first quarter, and it's been all Lions as far as the offense is concerned here early in the game. And they've continued to grind it out and mix their plays very well. It was interesting to see Collins come out and throw on that first down, the first play from scrimmage, probably just trying to upset the Mexia defense a little bit and try to kind of catch them off guard just a little.
Well,
here come the Lions, 1st and 10.
Coming into the game, they had wanted to establish the deep pass. This time they sent two wideouts to the top of the screen. Lewis, the furthest one up. Maybe look for him if they do decide to throw the football. No, it's a pitch to Richardson to the far side, and Richardson gets inside the 40-yard line. Rodney Smith, again, one of the first men to get there with help from Dwayne Cooper.
Good containment that time as they kept the play from going out wide, and that's what they've got to do. Now, Richardson's a threat when he runs through the center of the line. He's a good power runner, but if he ever turns the corner on you, he's got the speed and can take it all the way down. And one of the things that the Mexia coach wanted to do was make him go for the short gainers, the little quick plays, and not go for the long yardage either on the run or the pass, and they've done that so far.
Coach Cobb also added he just wants to contain him. Don't let him get outside. He knows his speed. Second down, second and about 7, right up the middle. Richardson again. This time off tackle. Rodney Freeman again, the linebacker, having to make the tackles.
A tough yard, maybe two. Clock still runs, and the Vernon Lions using up a lot of time here in the first quarter. 6:36 showing on the clock, now clock running. And they're back to a 3rd and long situation, Skip. Let's see what they pull out of the hat this time.
Collins again. Long count. They're sure taking a lot of time on that play clock. Richardson on the draw play. He is stuffed at the 35. And mention his name again, Rodney Freeman, the linebacker, one of the first men to get there for Mexia.
Well, the linebackers did a good job of containing. Also, you know, a lot of times you think whenever you're going to kind of watch the corners and prevent the end arounds on Richardson's, a lot of times you got to give up a little up the middle, and they hadn't give up that much the last 2 or 3 downs. They have managed to stay home and work the inside of that line very effectively.
Another 4th down gamble. This is 4th and 3. Everybody on their feet. Favors in motion. They pitch to Richardson to the outside. He cuts it back, and he has the first down at the 30-yard line. He has been noted for trying to get to the outside, but he also has the great cutback ability, which he used right there to pick up the first down.
Jeff Pierce threw a very important block out on the outside that time, Skip, as he cut one of the man off and allowed Richardson to get that extra yard or two to make the first. And the Lions are alive and well once again with a 1st and 10. Clock continues to run at 5:23. They are eating up the ground and the clock.
We'll make it 2 for 2 on 4th down conversions here. Big 4th down gamble. Said, hey, we're not going to punt the ball. We're just going to go for it. It has worked twice. Play action. Collins to throw. Lewis is there. He's got it at the 2-yard line.
Tremendous pass play by Collins, and that's going to remind the folks from Mexia that Collins can throw the football. He threw the long one, and that was the one they were worried about. And we had a receiver down there wide open. Huey Lewis was standing down there, and he hauls it in for the big gainer. Collins sets up, and you see on the replay, look at Huey Lewis. He is standing there all alone, takes it in, and falls at about, the 2? On the 3. It's 1st and goal at the 3. Here come the Lions.
28-yard pickup for Lewis. Lewis coming in averaging about 15 yards a catch. That one was a big one. Richardson will not be able to get over. He will nudge it down to about the 2-yard line.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Mexia comes up with on this prevent defense. They know that Richardson is a tough runner and good for a yard or two every time he lines up against you. The Lions desperately wanting to score here, opening quarter, state championship football game in Texas 3A football. Clock running at 4:26 first quarter. Lions back to the line of scrimmage.
Coming into the ball game, Coach Norman Cobb said his secondary will get the test. Now let's see what the defensive line can do. Pitch to Richardson. They hit him 2 or 3 times, and Richardson nudges it down to the 1.
Well, Richardson went straight ahead that time. He didn't try to cut inside or outside on the play and managed to pick up a couple of yards, and that could put the Vernon Lions in striking distance there. Richardson is hardly ever stopped for less than a yard or two on a carry.
Chris Roberts, the linebacker, the first man to give him a stick before he was hit by 2 or 3 more players. Inside 4 minutes, 3:40 to play here in the opening quarter. The opening drive, by the way. They have really eaten up some time on the clock. Quarterback bootleg, unable to get to the end zone. They may have even lost a yard on that one.
Good pursuit that time by the defense. I'll tell you, they ran it well. They had to be keen on number 25 because he is the workhorse in this type of situation. Collins thought he could bootleg it, sneak it around, maybe go off right guard with it, but he never did get a chance. Good pursuit. And this will give the Vernon Lions a chance to get on the board, and Matt Malone will tee it up for the field goal. Should be a chip shot for him, Skip.
Should be, but now you question. They were going for it on 4th down. Now they get close to the end zone, and they decide to kick it away. This will be from about 19 and hits the post. No good. From about 19 yards out, hits the right upright.
Matt Malone, who has been effective all year as a kicker, just didn't quite get it by. Boy, I tell you what, you talk about being unlucky. The Vernon Lions have driven it down the field. They've used up most of the first quarter and finally come away with no points. And now we're going to get a chance to see the Mexia Blackcats on offense for the first time. Be interesting to see what they pull out of the offensive grab bag on this first series. Only 2 minutes and 55 seconds left Skip. Vernon really used up the time on that drive.
They sure did, and this is the very first possession for the Blackcats. We'll set up their offense here in a minute as Randy Miller comes out at the quarterback position. He puts Medlock in motion and makes the pitch. This is Michael Jones, the other side of the two running offenses that we will see here this afternoon.
And the Lions are there. Number 80, Jason Strite, was coming across from his defensive end position and kept him inside and made the play, and it'll be 2nd and 10. No gain. We'll get a chance to see just exactly how tough the Vernon defense is here. They haven't been too bad themselves throughout the regular season and into the playoffs. Mexia on their first drive of the ball game here late in the first quarter.
2:20 again, the wingback, Medlock in motion, sets back up. Now they even put Michael Jones in motion, and they make the pitch to Burks. Burks to the outside, has the first down, across the 40-yard line, up to the 50. What a run from Burks. Burks across the 50-yard line, finally brought down, they say, at about the 46-yard line.
No doubt about it, when you began to key on one player in that backfield, which is what Vernon was doing that time, you're going to give up some yardage, and that's exactly what happened. Burks got around the outside, got a couple of key blocks out there, and then it was a foot race down the field. And I tell you, it looked tough there from the Vernon standpoint for just a few minutes, but the Vernon defensive secondary managed to come over and make the play. But a big, big gain for the Mexia Blackcats with only 1 minute 56 seconds showing in the first quarter, and here they come.
Burks has picked up 986 yards this season. The option play, keeper. Down the sideline goes Randy Miller this time, and Randy Miller picks up about 5 yards on the pickup. On down back to Burks, though, as far as rushing. He's only rushed 64 times, and that is because he didn't even get into the ball game until the 6th game of the season when they put
ball. Vernon looked like they were going to handle him very easily on the first snap of the ball, but then all of a sudden they get out wide, and they are in good field position now.
After the 34-yard pickup, now they play action and they drop back to pass. Chris Miller looking deep. The ball is underthrown and it is incomplete.
Now, number 15 down defending on the field that time for the Vernon Lions, and he managed to get a hand on it. Eric Knight playing from the free safety position on the defense and managed to bat it away. But, boy, that one had the potential for 6 points on the board.
They were trying to throw to Rodney Smith, and Smith did a fine job in turning from an offensive player to a defensive player. He knew that the ball was underthrown, so he had to come back and try to get it. So the ball batted down, as you mentioned, by Eric Knight.
3rd down.
3rd and about 5 from the 42, 1:06 to play. They pitch. Jones close to the first down. There will be a measurement. 1 minute left. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
Enough for a first down on the last play. It is 1st and 10, and right up the middle, nothing going right there. 1st and 10 from the 35. They tried the dive play that time. Rodney Vincent, one of the first men to get there on the stop.
Vernon defense trying to tighten up a little bit, Skip. They were a little bit rattled by that big gainer a few minutes ago, and it's taken them a few minutes to kind of get reset. This is a good defensive football team, and they are really being tested here in the first quarter. Time ticking away, 20 seconds left in the first quarter, and here come the Blackcats on a 2nd down situation.
Option play, fumble on the play. It is picked up from Vernon.
Skip, that could be a big break in this football game. That could be a big break in this state championship ball game, because when you get down to the state championship game, most of the time those turnovers are made. I tell you, these guys don't have the freshman jitters out there anymore. You might see that in the first couple
of plays, but watch him come around now. The ball was stripped, and the Vernon Lions jumped back on it, and they are in a first down situation. That might break that momentum and swing it back over to the Vernon Lions. They needed to make a big play here.
Robbie Spencer in on the fumble recovery and the very first turnover of the ball game. And the Lions will try to take advantage of it. More than likely, we'll try to throw deep right here. Instead, they give to Richardson off tackle, finds a hole across the 50-yard line. A good 8-yard pickup for Richardson off tackle that time. Give credit to the offensive line. Andrew Talton, number 24, on the defensive coverage.
Tremendous burst of speed that time when Richardson came through the line of scrimmage. I mean, he turned on the afterburner, and good second effort there as he moved on out for, what's close to a first down. He's just about a yard short of the first down. Vernon Lions now beginning to establish a running game, move the football as we get ready to move to the second quarter.
And talking about turnovers, the Blackcats have only fumbled the ball 26 times this season. So, give or take, that is number 27 for the season. That does it. Go ahead.
And the state championship game is not a good time to be fumbling the ball.
Definitely. That does it for quarter number 1 in this state championship ball game between the Mexia Blackcats and the Vernon Lions. Quarter number 2 is up next. We have no score. You're watching the Class 3A state championship ball game on WFTV.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
Second quarter action. It is second down and about 1 for Vernon right at the 50-yard line. Richardson, good defensive tackle that time, tripped up in the defensive backfield. Jeffrey Proctor, he had a great game a week ago, say the coaches, and he's going to have a key game this afternoon, and you saw him right there come up and make a key defensive tackle.
I'll tell you what, Proctor may have saved the day right there for the Mexia Blackcats because Richardson had turned on the speed and was going for it. He only lacked a few inches making the first down. That forces the Vernon Lions back into another one of those third down conversion situations. Let's see what they pull out of the hat this time.
Just starting quarter number 2, time of possession would definitely go over to the Vernon Lions as they ate up all of the first quarter. Now they're working on quarter number 2. Third down, Richardson has the first down.
Just lowered his head and went right on through. He knew where the first down marker was. He got it, and now the Lions are back in business over in the Mexia territory.
As they move the sticks, talking a little bit more about Richardson, say he's averaging about 7 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns, and as we mentioned earlier, the only player in Vernon history to rush over 2,000 yards, so what an accomplishment that was.
Quite an accomplishment. He did that last week, too. Yeah, last week's ball game.
First and 10. Put a man in motion. Still on his feet and brought down. Good offensive run that time for Michael Barton as Barton gets his first carry of the afternoon.
Mike Barton was tripped up there just as he crossed the line of scrimmage, or he would have probably gone for more. The hole was there. Good blocking up front that time by the Vernon offensive line, and there was a chance for a few more yards there, but somebody got a hand on him and shoestringed him. He tripped a couple of steps and then went down with it, but still a good gain, second down.
Working on this drive due to the fumble recovery. Second down and 5 from the 42. Richardson again, off tackle. Very versatile runner, able to take the sweep to the outside and also able to cut up the middle for some holes. And he credits his offensive line for doing a fine job all season long. He said, if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't have got my 2,000 yards.
I tell you, Richardson is really doing some power running in there. We've seen a power football game so far. And of course, the question is can you do that for 4 quarters against a good opponent in a state championship game?
Another third down call. Third and about 2 this time. Full house backfield, and you can just hear the popping going on down there. This one up the middle. Richardson will be close to a first down as they stop the clock to measure this one, depending on the spot. From up here, it looks like he's got it, and he does. Another first down for Vernon.
Well, the Vernon Lions continue to grind it out, and once again, controlling the clock in this second drive of the ball game. They consumed the biggest part of the first quarter on the opening drive, managing to convert on third down and go to the first down situation, gambled on 2 fourth down situations, drove it all the way down the field, got within a yard of the goal line, couldn't put any points on the board. Here come the Lions.
They pick up their 7th first down. Richardson, 12 carries, 54 yards. Play action, looking to throw. Richardson is wide open and makes the catch inside the 20-yard line. They spot it at the 18.
Richardson was wide open. The defensive secondary had some kind of a breakdown, and one of the things you've got to remember is the fact that Richardson can not only run the football, but he can also catch it, and as you'll see here, nice pass, very well thrown, maybe a little underthrown. Richardson had to go back about a step for it, but manages to put the Vernon Lions within striking distance again inside the 20-yard line. They'll set up camp at the 18, 1st and 10.
See the numbers on columns. He is 3 for 3 this afternoon in passing. 1st and 10, they mark it at the 17-yard line. Offset this time. Richardson should have been brought down in the backfield, but a missed tackle from Rodney Smith, the nose guard. Smith had him trapped.
Smith probably a little too aggressive that time, Skip. He charged a little bit too fast, and Richardson managed to bounce off of him, and that managed to give the Vernon Lions a good gain that time, and that'll set them up inside the 15. They're beginning to knock on the door.
As you mentioned, Smith missed him. Chris Roberts finally brought him down, the linebacker. And the linebackers, along with Roberts and Freeman, are in on a lot of tackles. That means that your defensive line is getting blown out or they're missing tackles, as they were on that last play. 2nd down and about 4. Collins this time works out of the eye, pitches to Richardson, cuts it back inside. Still on his feet. See you later. Touchdown, Vernon.
Skip, that is a good high school running back. The play was stopped, and Mexia could not complete the tackle. And Richardson showing why he's got 2,000 yards rushing and why he's one of the top running backs in the state on that carry. Vernon finds pay dirt early on. Now Matt Malone will get to avenge that missed field goal a few minutes ago as he sets up the kick. Tremendous run by Richardson.
Ball is down. Malone's kick looks good, and it is. As Richardson gets in for his 30th touchdown of the season, and the Lions capitalize on the turnover. They are first on the board. They lead it by a score of 7-0.
Skip, tremendous second effort on that touchdown run by Richardson. As we watch it again, he just literally bounced off a couple of the defenders. They might have been a little bit overly aggressive that time, could not get a hold of him. They stopped his forward motion. He rolled off to the outside and went in standing up.
You're watching the Class 3A State Championship ball game on WFTV. Our coverage continues right after this.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Nothing works better. Gatorade is proud to sponsor high school championship football. Gatorade, the athlete's choice.
Matt Malone getting set to tee it up. Welcome back to Pennington Field, Bedford, Texas. What an afternoon it is for football, if you like the sun. And thank goodness that this game wasn't played at Texas Stadium.
Yeah, it's much colder there than it is here, no doubt.
Malone with the boot. And it is taken, well, mishandled by, now finally picked up. Going down the sideline, and he almost lost the football. In on the run back finally was Chris Holly.
I tell you, Chris did a good job of averting what looked like disaster because the ball was touched, continued to roll. He picked it up, ran it to the outside, actually got back in good field position considering the situation.
Michael Jones was the first man who couldn't handle the football, and luckily he was there to pick it up and run with it.
Skip, it's 22 degrees down on the field right now, and that ball has got to feel a little sharp when it hits your fingers, whether a pass or a kick or whatever.
Only their second possession of the ball game. Burke's in motion. They pitch to Jones. Jones trying to get to the outside and finally run out of bounds after a pickup of 1 or 2 on the play. As we mentioned earlier, they alternate quarterbacks. Both Millers but as you mentioned earlier, they are not related. Randy Miller along with Chris Miller, and trying to determine the determining factor between both of them. And head coach Norman Cobb says, hey, I can't think of anything. Once I say one's a better passer, then the other one comes in and proves me wrong.
Good lateral pursuit on that last play by the Vernon defense as they forced it to the outside and right on out of bounds. Here come the Blackcats.
Chris Miller now at the quarterback position. Michael Jones in motion. Miller counters the wrong way, breaks a tackle, and has the first down across the 35-yard line, in which something looked like a busted play that time. That might be a design counter play for the quarterback.
Sure right. He pulled the defense off to the weak side that time and managed to just scoot on up the field. He knew right where the first down marker was, and he managed to go for the first down. A good run there by the quarterback, and he takes some punishment but manages to keep his drive alive. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Blackcats. 7:26 on the clock now, Skips. Clock continue to roll here in the second quarter.
Eric Knight in on the last tackle. Medlock in motion to the far side. Counter played to Burks. And Burks across the 40-yard line. Good offensive running from the fullback, Donovan Burks.
Well, Mexia mixing it up and continuing to roll. There's a shot of Richardson. He's averaging about 5 yards a carry now. 14 carries for 71 yards. Not a bad average in a state championship ballgame.
Not at all. And with the one touchdown as well. Huh?
Yeah, let's not forget that. 7-0 ball game here in the state championship game on a sunny afternoon in Bedford, Texas.
Pretty good crowd here as well. Both teams with good followings all season long. Jones again in motion. Another counter draw play, and that is designed up to the 45-yard line this time for Chris Miller.
That'll bring up the third situation, and I tell you, it's going to be conversion time for the Blackcats. They've managed to grind it out on the ground here and kind of establish a running game against this very fired-up Vernon defense.
Jason Stride that time in on the tackle. He's going to have to contain the outside since that is a design play. They're going to try to force the defensive ends to kind of come in and force a trap so they can go to the outside with a sweep of some sort, as Randy Miller is back in at quarterback now. Here comes the outside pitch. First down. Donovan Burks up to the 50-yard line. Brian Nava in on the tackle, the linebacker.
I think you called that one, didn't you, Skip? That's exactly the way it came. Just enough for the first down. It also sets them up on the 50-yard line as they continue to use the clock and continue to grind out the yardage on the ground. Mexia still alive, although down 7 points here in the first half. We've still got a lot of football to play.
Plenty of football left. Both of these two teams came into the '89 season in the preseason top 10, by the way. Vernon was ranked 4th. Mexia was ranked number 8.
And both of them had a tough time early in the season.
Exactly. This is Burks. Nowhere to go. Stuffed by Willard Wilson. Wilson, one of the keys on that defensive line, and he stuffed the play out that time.
Mexia played the state championship game in 1949, Skip. They got beat 13-0 on a cold night out in Abilene, Texas. And they would like nothing better than to take home the state championship trophy here this afternoon. Of course, on the other side of the field, you've got 11 guys on the Vernon team that would also like to have that trophy in their trophy shelf come tomorrow morning.
Second down, Burks pitches, Jones, nowhere to go. Good defensive pressure again on the defensive line. Rodney Vincent, number 55, one of the first men to get there.
Interesting how Mexia had moved the football very effectively there for several downs, converted a couple of times, came up with a first down play. All of a sudden the Vernon defense tightens up and they begin to shut them down. Interesting. I can't really tell if they're making some adjustments or if they're just beginning to read the plays a little bit better, but it seems like the Vernon defense beginning to rise to the occasion just when they need to. They've got Mexia stopped on the 50.
Vincent on the last tackle, the leading tackler for the Vernon Lions. Here comes the pressure. The receiver is open at the 40-yard line, makes the cutback move, and has the first down. Kevin Morton with the catch. And what a job that time by Chris Miller, who stayed in the pocket to spot him.
Chris Miller paid the price that time, and he was a little slow getting up. I mean, the pressure was on, and he took a big hit just as he released that football, and I would have thought it would have been an incomplete pass, but good effort downfield, and it sets up a first down situation for the Mexia Blackcats.
Morton his 10th catch of the season. He's got 3 touchdowns, 143 yards all gathered. He's averaging about 15 yards a catch. That time on that pickup, a pickup of 11 and a first down. From the 39-yard line, Jones for a couple. And he spotted some holes in there. Looked like he was just doing a little tippy-toeing in there, and he tippy-toed himself for about 5 yards.
Interesting how the momentum shifts back and forth, Skip, in this ball game. Mexia comes out and they grind out the yardage, begin to move the ball. Vernon shuts them down for about 3 plays, and then they come in with the big one, and they're back in business now. Mexia moving the ball, second down situation. They are inside the 35-yard line.
Both teams wanting to establish a drive, and they have done that here so far this afternoon. This is Jones again. First down inside the 30. Oh, hold on. Let's recall that. They're going to count him down where his knees first touched at the 30, so he may not have the first down.
Probably be a little less than a yard. Bring up a third down situation. Crucial conversion down now for the Mexia Blackcats. 3,081 yards rushing, as you see on your screen. Vernon has been hit for 1,757 yards against the run.
Shy of the first down. As I mentioned, they spotted him where his knees first touched, and that was at the 30-yard line. They need a yard here. Medlock in motion. Fumble. He loses the ball. Vernon's got the football. A mix-up in the backfield again. They tried that delayed draw again. Randy Miller had nowhere to go. Looked like he wanted to hand it off this time, and there was nobody there.
Turnovers are something that you cannot commit in a state championship game. Number 77 jumping on the ball there for the Vernon Lions. That was Chad Brownlow. Chad Brownlow, defensive tackle for the Vernon defense. And all of a sudden, Mexia has lost 2 turnovers, and the Vernon Lions are back in business, and they're back on offense. 2:17 in the half.
Also credit Willard Wilson around the football as well. 1st and 10. Vernon trying to capitalize again. Here comes Richardson on a spin move, and he took a pop. Chris Roberts with the stick, but not before Richardson picks up at least 6.
Richardson doing a pretty good job of running and also leading the cheers here in the ball game as he bounces right back up after a hit, and he is ready to go back to work.
You take a look at Chad Brownlow, number 77, on the sideline. 1:45. Boy, this is a fast-paced ball game. We're here in the second quarter, 7-0, Vernon leading. Vernon trying to capitalize on another mistake. Jones, excuse me, that is Richardson again. Oh, I've been saying Richardson and Jones all afternoon long. Richardson this time.
I tell you what, it has been a running football game so far. The Lions, of course, passing only when they had to mix things up a little bit. But, boy, turnovers right now have been the story here in the first half as the Vernon Lions have picked up 2 and both times shut down drives by the Mexia Blackcats.
Cooper on the last stop, but not before they picked up a first down. Coming to the minute mark now, you will more likely see Collins, if he can, throw the football. Try to get down in some field goal range. Pitch, Richardson. Richardson up to about the 45-yard line. They mark it at the 46. Busby and Roberts in on the tackle. Ron Busby, one of the linebackers, comes in, substitutes for Rodney Freeman.
Richardson has been kind of hampered by the defensive pursuit so far this afternoon. We haven't seen him do that little quick step that he usually does as he goes around in and gains that momentum. He has had a lot of lateral pursuit out of that defense this afternoon. They're keying on him. Here come the Lions.
Both teams still have 3 timeouts. Now Collins looks to throw. Nobody open. Pressure from the far side and brought down. Good job. Number 42, Vincent Thomas, held his position at the defensive end position and makes the tackle.
I think Thomas got him by the hand that time. Looked like he just grabbed him by the arm and pulled him down. And it looked as though Collins might spring loose and go for the first down marker. He had an open field there if he could have got away from that one pursuer, but he didn't get it done. And all of a sudden it's a third down situation, and time becomes a factor with 24 seconds showing on the clock. And the Lions will talk it over.
Lions have called a timeout, so they use one of their 3. They will be left with 2 timeouts. Coming up at the half in about 24 seconds, we'll feature both marching bands from Mexia and from Vernon, and we will also talk to Dallas Cowboy James Dixon. We've got him up here in the press box. We'll have a chance to talk with him also. Coming up at the half. in about 24 seconds from now, but it looks like right now Vernon trying to take advantage of another turnover, and with 24 seconds left, they were more likely trying to throw it deep. That time on the last play, Collins wanted to go deep, but nobody was open in the secondary.
Interesting to note that Ken Collins, number 14, the quarterback, and Eric Knight, number 15, wide receiver, were over talking to the coach this time. What would you think that would mean with just 24 seconds showing on the clock? That you run deep and I'm going to throw it.
Only one wide out. Now they put a man in motion. That's Eric Knight. Look for him downfield. They roll to that side, and they dump it off to Richardson. Richardson, no blockers in front of him, and brought down right at the 46, 47-yard line. Michael Jones also switches to defense at the cornerback position, along as being the tailback, one of the first men to get there on the stop. Fourth down call. Now it's another gamble.
Not going to get it off.
So they decide to just let the time run out. And that will do it for half number one. An interesting football game. We told you earlier that the ball will be kept on the ground, and it's definitely have both teams able to establish a running ball game and holding on to the football as well, but has been a problem for Mexia, but they were able to take some time off the clock, and as far as drives are concerned, that's what both coaches said they wanted to do.
I'll tell you what, Skip, no real surprises in this first half of football. I'll tell you, both coaches told us they wanted to come out, establish the ground game. They've both done that. They've done an excellent job moving up and down the field, converting on third down. Vernon even converting on a couple of fourth down situations in that first drive. But the difference has been the turnovers, and that stopped the momentum from the Mexia standpoint. Vernon goes to the dressing room leading this one 7-0.
All righty, we are at the half. You're watching the Class 3A State Championship game on WFTV. Stay with us. Coming up, the halftime show. We'll give you some highlights along with a halftime band, and we'll also have a special interview with James Dixon. All of that coming up next. Stay with us.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
We are at the half. 7-0 to score between the Lions and the Blackcats. And in just a couple of minutes, we'll give you some halftime statistics. Also, we will show you some of the first half highlights as well. But right now, we're getting set to go down on the field and catch our halftime activities. And starting it off, the Mexia Blackcat Marching Band.
This year's UIL marching contest. This year's first division brings the band's record to 9 consecutive superior ratings at marching contests. Leading the Blackcat band on the marching field are Assistant Drum Major Emily Parks, and Head Drum Major Rebecca Matthews. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite you to enjoy the excellence of the sweepstakes winning Mexia Blackcat Band. gentlemen, look up in the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a reindeer? Or is that Santa Claus? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you will direct your attention to the northernmost area of the sky, you will see Santa and his 8 tiny reindeer. Santa seems to be making his rounds a little early, but that must be because he has a very special delivery. Look, see on the field, he's left us a Blackcat Band Christmas tree. An organization the size of the Blackcat Band runs smoothly because of the exceptional quality of its members. I would like for you to meet the student leader of the Blackcat Band. Standing on the 50-yard line is band captain, Miss Christy Sandifer. The Blackcat Band proudly presents the 1989 Blackcat Spoilers. They are Shauna Jones, Tanya Fleming, head twirler Harry Deep, Brandy Yelverton, Ginger Kelly, and Mandy Williams. Twirling coordinator for the Blackcat Band is Mrs. Vicki Forrest. Tonight the Blackcat Twirlers perform to Give Me Some Lovin'.
performance, of course, done by the Mexia Blackcats Marching Band. In just a couple of minutes, we'll feature the Vernon Marching Band. But right now, let's go back in time and talk with James Dixon a bit. James, you went to Vernon High School, and you're here to, what, root your team on to state championship, huh?
Oh, yes. You know, this is the first time Vernon has been to the state finals, and I'm here just to give a little support.
James, tell us a little bit about what's going on in the home camp right now. Getting ready for tomorrow, got a big game coming up. What are your thoughts the day before the final game of the season?
We went in practice today, and, you know, we kind of got together, and we wanted to end the season on a positive note, you know, come out with a win so we can come into next season with a nice attitude and everything to practice.
All righty. Talk a little bit about this afternoon's game. What do you think of those Lions here?
You know, I've had the opportunity to see them 3 or 4 times this year, and they're really impressive. You know, they're doing things that we couldn't do my year that I was there when we was in the semifinals. They got the all-around game, attack, passing, and running, and which is helping them now. And they got a quarterback with good overall ability to pass the ball and run. And that Derek Richardson is something else. You know, I thought I was something in high school, but he showed me just a little bit more than what I had the year I was there.
How about that Vernon defense? It's been tough as well, huh?
Oh, yes, they have a real nice defense, and defense has been keeping everything under control so far and everything, and people haven't had the chance to score on them, and that's the good point about it. If they can hold them, it don't take much to win.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you played under Coach Britton at Vernon, did you? Yes. He was there. We understand that he is a real disciplinarian and really demands a lot from his players. Is that the way it was when you were playing?
If it wasn't for Coach Britton right now, I probably wouldn't be playing for the Dallas Cowboys because I was one of the kids with a bad attitude and everything. I knew I was good and everything, and people couldn't tell me nothing. Just one day, you just got tired of the way I used to, you know, go around and go about doing things. And he kind of jacked me up by the collar of my shirt and said, I either get with the program or get out of it. So I shaped up.
Well, I had heard that this is coffee shop talk. Somebody told me that Coach Britton's theory was a haircut on Thursday, good football game on Friday night, and Sunday school on Sunday morning. Is that the kind of way it was in Vernon?
Sort of like that, but it was all right.
Yeah, good coach. We appreciate it. It's good to have you here to back the line.
It's nice to be here.
All righty. Thank you much for your time there. All righty. Let's go back down on the field right now and check out the Vernon Lion Marching Band. And a good performance put on by the Vernon Lion marching band, both bands in their halftime show here at the state championship ball game. We're at the half, 7-0. In just a couple of minutes, we'll take a look at the halftime stats, some halftime highlights to show you, and we'll talk about what will take place in the second half of this state championship ball game. Stay with us.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
And welcome back to Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas. 7-0, the Lions lead. Let's take a quick look at the first half highlights to show you. The very first highlight to show you, a Ken Collins pass all the way down to Lewis.
I'll tell you what, he aired it out here, found Lewis just really standing alone. The deep coverage broke down, and Lewis manages to haul it in at about the 2, and that set the Vernon Lions up for what looked like was going to be a score. They couldn't capitalize, and the field goal hit the goalpost and didn't go in. And so, therefore, the Vernon Lions came off of a very impressive first drive with no points on the board, turned it over, and then the Mexia Blackcats began to come back down the field.
On their first possession for the Mexia Blackcats, they end up coughing the ball up. Right here, you're seeing pop out of there, and in on the fumble recovery, the Vernon Lions.
Clint Perkins forcing the fumble that time. He stripped the ball as he came through from his defensive nose guard position, and all of a sudden the Lions are back up with the football, and then finally Vernon manages to get on the scoreboard.
Robbie Spencer on the recovery, and that is exactly right. They come down with another drive, of course, led by Richardson, and Richardson finally takes this one in from about 7 yards out.
It didn't look like it was going to be a touchdown. Richardson ran into heavy traffic in there, managed to spin off, bounce off the defenders, and actually went in untouched. And I think the Mexia Blackcats a little bit surprised. They thought they had him contained, but all of a sudden it's 6-0. Extra point try was good, and we've got a 7-0 football game here at Pennington.
That's exactly right. I said 7 yards exactly. It was about 12-yard touchdown run that time. And we're taking a look at the last fumble on their last possession. You see the ball pop loose right there, and it looked like number 72 in on the football for the Lions, and that was Willard Wilson able to jump on it, and that shuts out Mexia in the first half.
Certainly the turnovers had to be one of the key things that held Mexia back in the first half, because it did stop a couple of their drives. They were moving the football very good on the ground, but when you cough it up in the state championship game, you're not going to do very well, and that's what's happened here. Take a look at the halftime statistics now. First of all, as far as first downs are concerned, Vernon with 9, Mexia 5. Yards rushing fairly even, 97 for Vernon, 76 for Mexia. Good effort on both sides. Yards passing, quite a bit of difference, 46 for Vernon. Collins has been very effective, 3 for 3 this afternoon, 1 for 2 for the Mexia team. They've only gained 11 yards. Turnovers, of course, once again, that's the story of the first half. 2 for Mexia and none for Vernon. We've got a 7-0 football game here at the state championship. Skip, we're about ready to kick it off.
All righty, rushing comparisons. We will take a look at that here in just a couple of minutes as we are set for the second half kickoff. Jones will take it inside the 10 and fake the handoff. He still has it. He's got a wall set up. Across the 30-yard line, and a good defensive tackle that time. Finally brought down at about the 32.
Outstanding job that time on the fake handoff. He caught the Vernon, a special team, a little bit off balance that time, pulled some of the defenders over to the far side of the football field, got a wall set up, and I'll tell you, the Mexia Blackcats come out with excellent field position here to open the second half.
Lonnie Bess on the defensive tackle that time. You take a look at the leading comparison as far as the rushers are concerned.
No surprises there. Richardson leading it with 88 yards on 17 carries, about 5 yards a carry. Burks, number 34, is the leader for the Mexia Blackcats. No real surprises as far as rushing is concerned. Here come the Blackcats.
All righty, we'll see what adjustments they have made. First pitch to number 33 for Mexia. That is Dwayne Cooper. Cooper gets his first carry of the afternoon. A story to tell you about Cooper a little bit. Cooper has a broken arm and his shoulder injury. and it's still been in there. Coach is reluctant as far as putting him in there, but he says when he gets in there, he kind of fires the team up and fires the fans up, gives them a little inspiration.
He's actually got his arm strapped down and is playing with one arm this afternoon due to a shoulder injury, and he really is doing a fine job for a one-arm ball player.
And he also plays that defensive end position, taking a stick that time, and finally getting back to the line of scrimmage, maybe getting 1 or 2 on the carry again, Dwayne Cooper.
Dwayne Cooper, 191-pound senior fullback. He goes both ways for the Mexia Blackcats and is a pretty effective football player, but not a lot there, and that brings up a third down situation. The Vernon defense continues to be very tough. Nava, Vincent, Williams, Fly, Knight, Coker in on that Vernon defensive backfield, and they're doing a good job here in this first series after the half. Still 7-0 here at Pennington.
Stride on the last defensive tackle. Third down, passing situation. In motion. And flags fly, delay of game will be the call. 25-second clock ran out on them. They took a little bit too long in the huddle by the time they got up to the line. They had no time to snap it off, so instead of a 3rd and 7 situation, that will back them up.
Skip, it was one of those long count situations, and when you spend 5 or 10 seconds too much time in the huddle, and you go on that long count in order to get that man in motion, it's going to catch you, and that's exactly what happened here. So that puts the Blackcats in a definite passing situation. We can look for the long one here.
3rd down and about 12. They fake the pitch and looking, pressure coming up the middle, and he throws it away. And now we get a flag. May get a roughness penalty or roughing. Well, it could be roughing the passer. It could be intentional grounding.
I think it's intentional grounding because he obviously threw it away and the pressure was on. Number 44 for the Vernon Lions was in there really putting the pressure on him. The pursuit was on. That was Brian Nava out of the linebacker position. And yes, it looks as though the step-off is going to be against the Mexia Blackcats. Boy, does this give the Vernon Lions an excellent chance at field position on 4th down.
On the offense, lost it down, 4th down.
Okay, you heard the call.
4th and a mile.
And if I'm not mistaken, this will be the very first punt of the afternoon for either ball club. James Wright in the punt of the way. He will be standing at about the 1-yard line. Ike Jones will snap it to him.
I believe that's Tillery back deep for the Lions. Rushes on.
Not a great kick. Will take a Lion bounce at the 30, and that's where it will be ruled dead at the 30-yard line. Not a great kick that time for Jason Wright.
The Vernon defense has come up and held on to good field position here, and that's going to set the offense up with an outstanding opportunity to go in for 6 points here.
The adjustments that were made for Mexia or for Vernon, Barry, as far as what do you think that both teams talked about at half?
Well, obviously it looks as though the Vernon defense has tightened up a little bit. They have begun to kind of get a better read on the Mexia offense as they come to the line of scrimmage. Mexia not able to establish the ground game on that series. Here come the Lions.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Mexia's 30. Collins will come to throw. Looking, setting up the pass. It is complete. Down the sideline, across the 20-yard line. Perkins has the first down. Rodney Smith, number 44, finally brings him down.
Skip, it may be a little early in the ball game, a little early in the second half to even be thinking about this, but it almost looks as though the adjustments that Mexia made at halftime have pulled them out of their basic game plan. It looks as though they're having to do some things that they're not exactly comfortable with, and Vernon is capitalizing on it here. Beautiful pass play, sets up the little short one, throws it downfield, and a good run after the catch sets up a first down. Here come the Lions.
Line in motion. Making it favors. It's favors 19. They pitch. Richardson to the outside. 10, 5, touchdown.
That is why Richardson has over 2,000 yards rushing this season. This is a great athlete.
You credit the offensive line again, but he did a good job in turning it to the outside.
He just turns on the speed, gets a couple of key blocks, and literally outruns about 4 defenders on that play. He knew where the goal line was. He knew where he had to cut it across, and all of a sudden, it was 6 points for the Vernon Lions, and they'll set up the kick. Matt Malone would love to avenge himself here one more time for that missed field goal early.
Ball is down. Malone's kick is good. And with 9:26 to play here in quarter number 3, the Lions lead it by a score of 14-0. The touchdown one more time.
Well, watch it set up. A couple of good blocks and some good running. I'll tell you what, a good team effort on this one. The interior line did their job of slowing down the pursuit, and then all of a sudden it was up to the running back, and great running backs can take advantage of those kind of situations. And Derek Richardson takes it right across the corner for the 6 points. And the Vernon Lions in pretty good shape now in the third quarter, 14-0.
9:26 to play here in quarter number 3. There's timeout on the field. You're watching the Class 3A state championship game on WFTV. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Nothing works better. Gatorade is proud to sponsor high school championship football. Gatorade, the athlete's choice.
Well, a 14-0 ball game here in the third quarter. The Vernon Lions striking very fast in the second half, and they're about ready to kick it off, Skip, as we get back underway.
For Mexia, they are definitely going to have to change the game plan offensively. They're trying to let this one go back to Jones. It is muffed, and Jones finally picks it up. No blockers in front of him. Up to about the 18-yard line.
Vernon special teams rise to the occasion once again. Good pursuit that time. They had a little bit of help because when they bobbled that football, that gave them a few extra steps to get out on that pursuit, and they managed to hold the Mexia Blackcats inside the 20-yard line, and now the Vernon defense will come back out. Now it'll be interesting to see whether or not the Vernon defense holds up like they did on that last series, or if maybe they just had a little bit of fortune. See how they read it.
They are forced in a comeback roll again. 1st and 10, they mark it at the 17, their own. Up the middle. Nothing going.
Not much.
The carry was Jeff Forrest. I believe he gets his first carry of the afternoon. For only a couple.
Vernon defense looking very good once again, holding on. They do move the ball outside the 20-yard line. Mexia going to have to come out and begin to throw the ball, go for the big gainers. They're down by 14 points. It's still anybody's ball game, but as the clock continues to run, time becomes a definite factor here. And if they can't establish a running game on this series, they may have to change their game plan again.
This one goes right up the middle. Again, that is Cooper. Dwayne Cooper is able to come out here in the second half and try to get something going. But it will be a third and kind of long situation. These are the third down situations you don't want to be forced with. Third and about 4 or 5. You'd rather see 3rd and 1.
Yeah, especially whenever the momentum seems to have swung over to the Vernon Lions now. They're playing excellent defense. The Mexia team has had some problems this week. They had a flu bug going around down there. These guys may not be full strength today.
Crucial third down call. Randy Miller looks over the defense again. Looks like he changed the call. Single setback, now rolls the option play. Nobody home that time.
Miller came to the line of scrimmage, Skip. He looked over the defense. He saw something he didn't like. He called an audible, and I don't know how much he changed the play that time, or if he just changed the count or whatever, but whatever it was, it didn't work, and it's a 4th down situation deep back in Mexia territory, and we're going to have the second punt of the ball game. Once again, Vernon has the chance to come up with a big play. Number 15 will be standing deep for the Vernon Lions back there. That's Eric Knight. He'll be the lone deep receiver.
Right. Trying to get a better punt than he did last time. Only 30 yards. The pressure's on, and he gets it off. As you mentioned, Knight back deep, watches it bounce, and it will be ruled at the 38-yard line, and that's where Vernon will take over. Boy, they put the pressure on right that time, but Wright got off a better punt this time than he did last time. This time it goes 48 yards on the punt.
Big rush that time, and of course Wright had to get it off, and it had to go very, very quick with the kick, and I tell you, they had about 3 rushers right in there on him whenever he finally got the punt away. Still, Vernon back in here with good field position, and they've got the momentum going their way. They've got a chance to come on back down the field. Let's see how this series of down goes.
Collins sets him up from the 36-yard line. That's where the actual first touching of the ball was. Inside, trap to Favors. He scored on one of those plays a week ago, went 60 yards on the exact same play. This time, finally tripped up in the defensive secondary.
Well, Favors carrying the ball that time and a good gain, and that's good because mixing up the plays like that, you know, if you key to one back all day, it kind of gives away your game plan. But when they mix up the plays like they did to the other running backs that time, it's going to keep that Mexia Blackcat defense kind of off balance a little bit. Good gain that time as the Vernon Lions continue to grind out the yardage. 6:44 showing on the clock now. Third quarter action here at Pennington Field. State championship game. Lions in control right now.
Second and a long 3. Working out of the eye. Collins puts Knight in motion. And gives the tailback. Richardson breaks a tackle. First down at the 50-yard line. How can you stop this guy? Derek Richardson, as you heard James Dixon talk about him, James said, hey, I thought I was something, but this Richardson is really tearing him up.
Richardson doing a little spin move that time as he blasted through the offensive line. Good blocking up front that time. And all of a sudden he made that little spin, got that extra effort, and managed to tack on about 5 yards for that carry. First and 10, ball just about on the 50-yard line now.
Chris Roberts, one of the leading tacklers this afternoon, in on the tackle. Here's the final. Odessa Premium wins the Class 5A state championship ball game, 28-14.
Mojo rolls on.
6 minutes left here in the third. Going off tackle for only a couple. Another key thing is Vernon has not turned the ball over this afternoon. Richardson in on the last carry.
Well, Vernon would be content at this stage in the game, Skip, to continue to drive it down the field, getting those little gains, converting on third down, going back and eating that clock up as they head toward the fourth quarter. A 14-point lead won't necessarily win a state championship football game, but they're in pretty comfortable position right now.
Lewis down at the bottom of the screen, Witten at the top. You're out of your picture at the wideout position, working out of the eye. Second down call, second at about 7. Goes to Richardson to the outside, across the 40-yard line, and picks up another, let's say he's close to a first down. Brought down in the defensive secondary, Brian White, number 22, one of the first men to get there.
Tremendous power runner, and the neat thing about Richardson, watch him blast through there, reads his blockers, manages to get to the outside and gets about 5 yards extra out of what would have been a tackle back upfield. Richardson is a tremendous running back. He combines speed and power to do a good job.
First down it is at the 40. And for Mexia, they're going to have to get tough right here. They can't afford to give up another score. They didn't want to have to give up the big play. They have not done that. Looking to set up the screen and in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Curtis Perkins, number 27.
Collins did a good job that time throwing the football. He did have to throw it on the run, and he was a little bit off balance. The pressure was on back in the backfield, but that was a catchable ball. Let's watch him here. He fakes, swings back around, finally throws down, and I think the receiver just failed to tuck it away. Might have been looking at the goal line and thinking about bigger and better things, but still a good job by Collins, the quarterback. He delivered the ball out of a pressure situation.
Talking about the Blackcats, Coach Cobb said didn't want to have to give up the big play, and he has not given up the big play. The defense has done a fine job. But they just need to come up with a defensive stop right here. Play action. Collins looking to throw. Across the middle. Richardson is there and cannot get to it at the 10-yard line.
Number 85 was defending down on the field. That was Chris Hawley for the Blackcats. He had his hand up, and don't think he tipped the ball, but he got very close. There was double coverage on Richardson that time, and the ball goes incomplete. You know, talking about the big play, there really has only been one big play as far as the long gainer is concerned. That was the pass in the first quarter, and the Lions failed to score on it. And other than that, they've held them back to just the 5 and the 7 and the 10-yard runs, but that's been enough so far for the Lions.
We talked about the ground game for both ball clubs, and that has proven itself here this afternoon. Only 2 punts, and both of those have been from Mexia. Vernon has not had to punt the ball away yet. Straight back. In and out of the hands. Eric Knight was wide open.
Knight could not handle the football. He had the pass was thrown well. It was right down there in his hands. He just didn't hang on to it. We got to remember that it's probably a little warmer than 22 degrees down there right now, but it's in the 20s here in Bedford, Texas, and that football feels mighty hard to your fingers whenever it's 20 degrees, and that could be affecting these receivers just a little bit here this afternoon.
So far, Collins 4 of 7 in passing.
Still effective.
First punt for the Lions. Chris Coker will stand back at about the 46-yard line. see if he angles this for the sideline. Fair catch called for and caught inside the 15. And when we come back, Mexia will have the football. Let's see, they will officially mark it at the 14-yard line. 4:24 to play here in quarter number 3. The Vernon Lions lead the Mexia Blackcats by a score of 14-0. You're watching the Class 3A State Championship ball game. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
Skip Boyden along with Barry Mahler and the rest of the broadcast crew. Here comes a reverse play and stuck right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, the reverse usually pulls the defense back out of position, but the linebacker stayed home and they shut it off at the line of scrimmage.
Ryan Nava, number 44, shuts down the play.
Skip, they did a good job of reading that one. That could have got them scrambled out and pulled out of position, and that could have been a gainer for the Blackcats, but it did not go. So far, this Vernon defense has been awesome here in the third quarter, as it has been all season.
Talked with Britton about the defense. He said, hey, the best part about our defense, we have no weaknesses.
That is a good part.
Screenplay, it is caught. Rodney Smith down the sideline. Oh, if he could have stayed on his feet, might have been able to go down the sideline. He had plenty of blockers in front of him. Smith makes a key catch and a first down for Mexia.
I tell you, Skip, Mexia needed that first down. He managed to haul in the pass and gets a few extra yards and was really shoestring down there right on the sideline. He'd have had a bunch more if it wouldn't have been for that.
Nice crowd here this afternoon. About 8,000 fans for the state championship ball game.
That's just about 400 people more than the total population of Mexia.
The ball is loose, and they say he was already down, so no fumble occurred on that one. His knees were already down on the carry. Donovan Burks, Willard Wilson, number 72, makes the tackle. So Mexia is going to have to get something going here offensively. And of course, they alternate the two Millers, Randy Miller and Chris Miller. This one trying to go up the middle. Burks flags fly. Donovan Burks gets back to the line, maybe gets one or two. Flags thrown down right at the line of scrimmage on the far side. Haven't seen that many penalties this afternoon. Offsides called against Vernon.
Very clean game, but of course, you know, you don't make the little mistakes this late in the ball game that you do, this late in the season that you do early on. You don't have the what we call the freshman mistakes, and these are two.
Offside on the defense.
These are two well-coached football teams, and they're doing a good job here this afternoon. 2:53 on the clock now. Third quarter beginning to tick away here at Pennington Field in Bedford. And Mexia trying to keep it alive.
Second and about one. Medlock again in motion. They give it to Jones. See you later. To the 30-yard line. He will not be caught. He's in.
Mexia comes to life in the third quarter, and they are back in this football game. The Mexia Blackcat fans celebrate across the way.
62-yard touchdown run, and just waiting for the big play to happen, and Michael Jones makes it happen, and here comes the extra point. Let's see, they're lined up off-centered here to the left side. Let's see if they're going to go for two or just try to kick the extra point here. As time is ticking, now they want the timeout. They look like they were trying to set up something else. Randy Miller says, hey, we need the timeout so we can get this straight. So now let's show you the touchdown again.
Well, I'll tell you what, this one broke fast. As you said a few minutes ago, we were waiting for the big play, and all of a sudden it was. There was nobody going to catch him. He saw the goal line, and there might have been 2 or 3 guys on the field. It was a little bit faster than what he was, but he was not going to be caught this afternoon. He needed that 6 points. Michael Jones, number 20, with a tremendous run. Well, they brought the kicking tee on the field. Now they lined up in an off-balance line. I'm talking about everybody over to the left side of the field, only the center and the quarterback out in the center of the field, and now they brought the kicking tee on during the
timeout. Looks like they're going to try the field goal. So they'll come back to the original extra point lineup now.
Jones in for his 9th touchdown of the season. And in coming into the 89 football season, he was one of the premier backs in the state for Michael Jones. And boy, he has really done a fine job all season long. Getting set for the extra point. Kiley Cobb kicks it, and it is good. A rather high extra point. Of course, he is the son of head coach Norman Cobb. And as far as his extra points and field goal kicking, said he has really done a good job all season long. Goes out for the summer to just kick, and he said it's paid off, especially last week when they needed a crucial extra point to beat Needville.
Now, as we look at the touchdown once again, as Jones just takes it in without any question. There was no question back up at about the 40-yard line he was going in. Interesting thing about the kicker for the Mexia Blackcats, they got beat by an extra point a year ago in the playoffs. And the coach's son went home and he said, I'm going to learn to kick the football. And he went out starting in December of last year and kicked about 200 balls a day so that he could be an effective kicker for this football team. And he has done just that. And all of a sudden, the Mexia Blackcats are back in this ball game.
Well, he promises Dad that they'd never lose a football game by 1 point if it was down to a kicking game.
And so far, he's kept to his promise.
2:40 left, and we are only in quarter number 3. 14-7 to score. Now, I talked with both coaches before this afternoon's ball game and also earlier in the week. They said in case of a tie, they would rather see a co-champion. So I have thrown out the penetrations altogether. I don't have a penetration count for you. They said in case of a tie, they'd like to see co-champion. So in case we get close to that area. Deep kick taken at about the 16-yard line. Favors to the outside. And run out of bounds at make it the 39, just shy of the 40-yard line. Favors on the return.
Favors had some room that time, had some blocking, and actually outran his blocking and had to go outside with it and managed to step outside, but still the Vernon Lions come back with good field position. But all of a sudden, we're back to a 7-point football game, and the Vernon Lions have got to get back to work.
The Blackcat defense able to do the job to force Vernon to punt for the first time this afternoon, and then they were able to get something going. The defense is going to have to do the same thing. Now we'll see what the Vernon Lions, see if they can answer back on the touchdown. They lead, though, by 7. Collins pitches the money man, Richardson, and he is up to the 44-yard line before he's brought down. And they know they're going to have to go to their bread and butter man. And he says, just give me the ball, I'll go down the field.
Well, he's lived up to his expectations here this afternoon. Of course, this is the first visit to the state championship game for the Vernon Lions. They'd like nothing better than to capitalize on it.
And you know about the little football that they all signed, 4 years ago?
That's right, as freshmen.
Yeah.
And it's still around up at Vernon High School. They'd like to dip it in gold here this afternoon.
Richardson has the first down at the 50-yard line. And, you go with what's going for you. And back to the old saying, you dance with whoever you brought to the dance. And Richardson, another first down.
We're late in the third quarter. Does this guy ever get tired? He's got a lot of stamina, and they're doing some power running for the Vernon Lions. Of course, once again, as he'll be the first one to tell you, you've got to have that offensive line up front to move the football, and they're really blowing off the ball and controlling the offensive line of scrimmage right now.
First down call from the midfield stripe. Richardson again, trying to get to the outside. Great job defensively that time. Jeffrey Proctor, the cornerback, came up with a defensive tackle. That is his second defensive tackle behind the line of scrimmage this afternoon.
Proctor was containing Richardson early in the football game, and he managed to get back on the beam this time and just upended him, and that'll go for a loss. 14-7 football game, state championship ball game, 1989. We've got only a minute left in the third quarter. Lions with the football, and they come to the line of scrimmage.
Richardson so far 23 carries, 133 yards in this afternoon's ball game, and 2 touchdowns. 48 seconds remain. Second down call, second and about 12. Richardson tripped up again. This time it is Don Busby, number 60. And Mexia Blackcats defense is stiffening up. down now. 3rd and about 12. We'll see it again on the stick.
Well, Richardson's still averaging better than 5 yards a carry for the ball game, but he has been shut down. They've had his number this last series. We might see the Lions come out and try something else this time. They'll spread them out. Couldn't keep going for the long pass this time.
Look for Lewis. He has had the biggest catch this afternoon. Let's see if they look for him. Straight back, trying to dump it off. What a catch at the 40-yard line. He should have enough for a first down.
Tremendous catch.
Number 82.
Vincent Witten, Collins under pressure, backs back, throws the football, and the pass was really overthrown. Witten made a tremendous effort, reached up and hauled it in just enough for the first down. All of a sudden, the Vernon Lions are alive once again in what looked like a drive that was going to stall at midfield.
Key catch from Witten. He's averaging about 20 yards a catch and has only caught 5 before catching this one here. With 12 more minutes left in this state championship ball game. It's all up to the 4th and final period. You're watching the 1989 Class 3A state championship ball game on WFTV. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
Welcome back. Pennington Field, Bedford, Texas, the 4th and final period. 14-7 the score. The Lions lead it. Favors on the trap play. Defensive pressure. Can he get outside? No way.
The Mexia Blackcat defense comes up with a big play that time. And I tell you for sure the pressure was on. And he really should have just cut it upside, but he tried to cut it to the outside and lost an additional yard or two.
See, Rodney Smith had the first pursuit on him, and then Dwayne Cooper finally makes the wrap. 2nd and long.
Dwayne Cooper playing with one arm, defense and offense here for the Blackcats this afternoon, manages to make the hit. I'll tell you what, he doesn't let up on him.
Mexia coming into the ballgame wanting to use their speed rather than their size because they say they are outsized by Vernon. That time they used the speed to pressure. Collins across the middle. Knight cannot get to it and almost picked off. Chris Hawley, the last man at it. The last man who had a chance to get it. Tried to go to Eric Knight across the middle.
Chris Hawley had a better shot at it that time than the intended receivers. He was coming across on man-to-man coverage in the backfield, but it just was not to be. Well, Mexia has won 5 games this year, as you see on your screen. They've come from behind to win 5 games, I should say. They can sure get it done in the 4th quarter. Let's see what happens here. Here's Vernon.
That's their best point. We'll take a look at that here in a minute after this call. Collins to throw. Knight in and out of his hands. You mentioned earlier about how cold it is, and he just cannot hold on to it. Knight complaining that he was hit after the play a little hard. But Chris Roberts just gave him a stick, said, hey, you're going to catch the ball, you get a stick. If you're not going to catch the ball, you're going to get a stick. And here it comes right there.
Vernon came out and looked so strong coming out of the dressing room into the 3rd quarter, but they have kind of cooled off a little bit here as we move into the 4th quarter. Here comes another punt.
Coker will drop back to punt for the 2nd time, and this one not a good one. Up high. Let's see if it takes any kind of bounce. No, it doesn't. Right at the 29-yard line, and Vincent Witten downs it from there, and Mexia has the football. 10:56 left to play. 14-7 our score.
And it's still anybody's ball game with just a 7-point difference in the football game here this afternoon. One of the things that's kind of interesting to note is the fact that throughout the regular season, Vernon really didn't have to play their first team until about the halftime. They were just in so much control in some of those district ball games, but they are under pressure now.
Up the middle, nothing going. Randy Miller gives it up the middle. Burks on the carry. Robbie Spencer on the defensive tackle. 10:33 remaining. So we mentioned this is Mejia's best quarter, the fourth and final period, where they like to put something on the board. Play action, pressure from behind. The ball is loose. No call as of yet.
Murray's got the football.
The Lions have it.
Yes. Big play. Big play. That was the one the Lions were looking for. Vernon Lions come up with a very key fumble recovery here in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden the momentum had shifted back over to the Mexia Blackcats, and the Lions come up with the football, and they've got excellent field position.
Jason Strike pops the ball out of there as he came from the backside. We're going to chance to look at it again. As you saw the turnover ratio, turnover number 3, and that was a crucial one. Inside the 20-yard line, or make it inside the 30-yard line. They mark it at the 25 after the fumble recovery. So Vernon wanting to capitalize on this. They pitch to Richardson. See you later. Touchdown. Richardson in for his third touchdown of the afternoon. This one coming from 25 yards out.
All of a sudden, the Vernon Lions turn the momentum, and they've got 6 more points on the board. A beautifully executed play. Good blocking up front. Richardson got the football. He turned on the afterburner, and away he went. Let's watch it again. Collins, long count, snaps, gives the pitch out. Look at the blocking develop up front. Good blocking right around the corner. Richardson takes it in. That's why he's a great running back.
And you have to credit the offensive line again. Jeff Pierce over there on that side. Here comes the extra point. Flags fly. Extra point is good, but we will have to check the flags here. Or excuse me, the extra point was no good. So they're get the call here. Preliminary call is offsides. Called against Mexia. Here, give us the official call here in a minute. As I mentioned, I'm sorry I mentioned. Oh, here he comes with the call.
Offside on the defense. Retry.
All right, they're going to retry. Here's the touchdown one more time, Barry.
Look at that touchdown. The blocking setup, you can see it just out of the corner of your picture there. The right side of that offensive line did an outstanding job of cutting off the cornerbacks and the linebackers as they try to pursue on Richardson as he cut the corner for the touchdown, and we're going to try the extra point again.
Malone missed it before. This time he kicks it, and he misses it again. Goes off to the right. 2 opportunities, but another flag thrown down. We may get a roughing the kicker. The pressure was on this time. Jeffrey Proctor came in there and might have got the, yes, that's it. That's the call. Proctor got in there. We're going to chance to take a look at it.
Malone sets up, and yes, boom. No doubt about that call.
So they will get another opportunity.
Of course, Proctor playing out of the cornerback position, Skip, and he is an aggressive football player. I tell you, he really does charge in there, and if anybody has come close to containing Derek Richardson this afternoon, he's been the one.
Okay, so let's say the third time the charm, huh? We'll see. He's missed both of them. Collins will hold it. Nope, little movement on the line this time.
Let's try this again.
Now, this will be the call. It will be dead ball illegal procedure, so that's going to back them up 5. We just can't get this extra point off. 10:06 to play here in the ballgame. 20-7, Vernon leads it.
We keep backing this up. We may have to send Collins back in and go for the long pass on this one. So this is going to get on back there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Matt Malone's getting a workout.
It'll be interesting to see if this rattles him a little bit. He's missed 2 in a row now.
So that backs the extra point back up to about the 13-yard line. So it'll be a 23-yard extra point. The pressure coming on. He gets the kick off, and it is no good again. Off to the right, as you mentioned again, Barry. Flags thrown down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, let's see.
This time it may be offsides, and it is.
It is. It is offsides.
So that will move it back from 5 yards. Good call.
On the defense. Retry.
Matt Malone is going to make an extra point here in a minute if you give him enough shots at it.
Okay, let's see. He's missed 3.
Missed 3.
And he's had 5 opportunities. Is that right?
That's right. Something like that. Work the percentages on that, Skip. Work the average on that. Yeah. Matt Malone's a good kicker, too. He's done a good job all year. He missed the early field goal, which was nearly an extra point, which surprised me. What if the sun is by?
Yeah, you go back to that because the extra point he did make was over on the other side of the stadium.
What if the sun? No wind. There's no problem there. The lineup is good. Good straight shot.
And the extra point this time is good, and it is a new kicker that is in there. That is, looks like 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, Chris. 16. That's Aaron Williams comes in to kick the extra point there.
I guess they figured Matt Malone was snake bit on that deal, and they managed to kind of swallow.
21-7. 10:06 left to play in this afternoon's state championship ball game. We'll show you the fumble which set up the Vernon Lion touchdown here as we go to break. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Nothing works better. Gatorade is proud to sponsor high school championship football. Gatorade, the athlete's choice.
21-7 our score, 10:06 to play in this state championship ball game. And Barry, you're the Mexia Blackcats. What are you going to have to do to get back in this ball game? You were close. Then you had your third turnover of the afternoon.
Once again, turnovers the story, Skip, and that has stifled Mexia all afternoon. They've got to come out and throw the football now, and they don't like to do that. This is a good running football team. This is going to bring them completely out of their game plan, and they're either going to do one of two things. Either going to put it together and come back strong, or else they may continue to fall apart, because anytime you get pulled out of your game plan, it's a little bit hard to keep it together and keep it going.
Last time Mexia appeared in the state championship ball game was back in 1949. They lost that one 13-0 to Littlefield. This time they are down 21-7, but as we mentioned, they have that comeback ability. Picked up at the 24-yard line, trying to get to the outside is Burks. Has room to run. Down the sideline and finally tripped up at the 45-yard line. Donovan Burks on the return.
That's the kind of thing that'll change that momentum back and put this football team back into the game. 9:59 showing on the clock, 21-7 situation here. Mexia's got to come up with some points, and they've got to do it in a hurry. The clock is going to be against them here before too much longer.
Let's see if Randy Miller will set up to throw. We'll check the passing stats for you here for Mexia. Up the middle, there's a hole. See you later. And you talk about Mexia getting back in this ball game. Well, that's the way to do it. And we talk about this guy being an inspiration, and what an inspiration he is. Dwayne Cooper gets into the end zone.
I tell you, Dwayne Cooper is an inspiration and a good athlete, playing football with one arm this afternoon due to the fact that he's had an arm strap behind his back due to a shoulder separation. The doctor said, yeah, you can play, but we're going to isolate your arm. And he handles the football. That kind of takes away from the old tucking it away situation.
They're going for 2. They've got it.
And they've got it.
Good job getting to the outside, the isolated play. Chris Roberts gets in after the 55-yard touchdown run. We've got a ball game, fans. 21. Here it is again, 21-15 down the sideline. And nobody.
All of a sudden, the Mexia Blackcats could come back on one big play and be in the lead in this football game, and that would put them in a good situation.
It was head coach Norman Cobb who said, I don't want to give up the big play. But it's Vernon's Leo Britton's team that has given up a couple of big plays here this afternoon.
Well, Vernon really and truly seemed to think they had this game under control, and all of a sudden they do not. Eric Knight was the closest man to him on that play and didn't have a chance of catching him as he broke loose and headed to the outside all the way down the field for a touchdown. We have got a ball game, 21-15 here at Pennington Field, state championship football. One thing about it, Skip, when you get to the state final, anything can happen. You got a lot of talent on the field.
The two-point conversion was also important as well, as we will show you that before the kick. They lined up on that offset as they normally do, and Vernon thinking about, well, they're just going to shift back over. They didn't.
And they run it in.
Yeah, they make the pitch to Chris Roberts, and Roberts takes it into the end zone.
And all of a sudden, 6 points will tie it. 7 points will win this football game.
9:50 remaining, and you take away some of Mejia's turnovers, and they would more than likely have the lead in this ball game. 3 turnovers so far this afternoon. Squib kick dropped and picked up at about the 18-yard line, and nowhere to go from there. Uri Lewis on the return, and Vernon will have to prove themselves.
Uri Lewis just kind of bobbled the football on the kickoff that time, didn't get a good clear handle on it, and boy, did Vernon need to put some field position under their belts on this run back. Didn't get it. Not in bad shape, though. Out across the 20-yard line. They'll set up camp at that point. Boy, they need to drive down the field and burn up some time on that clock and also some yardage. But they're going to have to do it against an inspired Blackcat football team.
I believe right now both fans from the far side and from the near side on their feet for this remaining 9:45 left. Pitch. Richardson has a hole, breaks a couple of tackles, and I believe he ran into his own man that time. And now we get a flag thrown down as Richardson gets up to about the 35-yard line.
Richardson really turned on the steam that time. I'll tell you what, he does not mind just dropping his shoulder and going right on through. And that's exactly what he did there. Got an injured player on the field.
Face mask, the preliminary call for Mr. Stevenson, our referee. He'll turn on his mic and give us the call as we look at the replay.
Face mask. On the white. First down.
Right now we are getting a shot of Jay Carroll. Carroll, the center, a very important man for the Vernon Lions. He is down, and while he is down, we'll come back and take a break. 9:37 left to play. Carroll is still down, and we'll be back. 21-15, Lions lead the Blackcats.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
Jake Carroll is okay. He's over at the sideline. A new center in, and he makes the snap. And that is one important thing. When you come in with a new center, you would think the first thing would be the exchange. He did a good job. A handoff only for about 1 or 2 on the last carry.
It's got to make a coach nervous when his center goes down in the fourth quarter in a state championship football game, and one that's as close as this one is, Skip, because the first thing you think about is a bad snap or the cadence off just a little bit, and it can cause some bad things to happen. Vernon wanting to put together a drive here.
Looks like number 60, Sean Sharp, in there at the center position, and it is. Second down call, 2nd and 9. Favors in motion, too much time, delay a game. And how many times have we seen that penalty called on both ball clubs here this afternoon?
Well, Vernon needing to get something going here. We're 8 minutes and 32 seconds from the season's end for 1989 for both of these ball clubs. Somebody's going to be the state champion here this afternoon, and the other team is going to be disappointed after a very, very outstanding football season. 2 good football teams in this contest this afternoon.
Mexia so far penalized 3 times for 15 yards. And for Vernon, 2 for 10 yards. 8:15 and clock ticking. As we mentioned, Vernon has the lead. So they can just about sit on it, but they need to keep the drive going. Richardson loses the ball. Let's see, they rule it dead. I don't see an indication as of yet. The officials have not made the call. Mexia comes out with the football, and they give it to him. Mejia's got the football. They say Richardson coughed it up. Derek Richardson, number 25, his first fumble of the afternoon. And the Lions, their first turnover of the afternoon.
Not an opportune time nor place for it, Skip. This is going to set Mexia up in good field position as they take over 1st and 10. They are inside the Vernon 40-yard line, and they are capable of striking just any time. One setback this time as they go to work.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. They pitch, trying to get to the outside, and he is covered up. Nothing going that time for Donovan Burks.
7 minutes and 50 seconds showing on the clock now. 21-15 football game here in the 4th quarter. Vernon Lions giving up the football at a very crucial time in this ball game. And they're trying to hold on, set up a strong defense, and they held very well on that first play from scrimmage. Let's see what the Blackcats can pull out of the hat here. Just about 38 yards away from taking over the lead in this football game.
Plenty of time to work with as well. Chris Miller takes it, gives it to Burke. Burks inside the 35, or make it the 35-yard line to about the 34. It will set up 3rd and long.
Burks got to the line of scrimmage that time, had some blocking, but the play was stalled at that point. He made a second effort, kind of spun around there, managed to get a couple of more yards, and I think Burke is still down. He has not gotten up. Seems to be favoring a leg there. Trainers looking him over.
So far, Burke this afternoon, 4 carries for 44 yards. He's done a fine job. And as you mentioned, is still shaking up over there on the far side about the 35-yard line.
Skip, the momentum has shifted several times in this football game this afternoon. Just about the time you think Vernon would be in control, all of a sudden something bad would happen there. Mexia would get in control and have a drive coming down, and then all of a sudden cough up the football on a turnover.
In talking about his ball club, Coach Norman Cobb says that his team is tough, hard-nosed kids. Said they don't give up no matter what. And they have fought themselves back into this ball game. But as you mentioned earlier, when Vernon took the early lead, hey, there's 2 halves of the ball game. There's still plenty of time. And speaking of time, 6:54 and clock ticking, 3rd and about 7. Pass, one-on-one, Michael Jones. Jones, first down inside the 20, and finally bumped out of bounds at the 11-yard line. One-on-one isolation that time. They say Jones works on the defensive end. Chris Coker finally runs him out of bounds.
I tell you what, he put the move. Watch this. He'll pick up the pass and spin around, go to the outside, did an outstanding job faking to the outside and just turned on the speed, finally got knocked out of bounds. Outstanding play for Mexia that time. Michael Jones doing a good job that time. Play comes in from the sideline. Boy, this is a crucial time for the Vernon defense.
He had one-on-one isolation with Aaron Williams that time, and he outmoved and outmaneuvered Williams. Up the middle, Jones, and right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Mexia moves into field goal position at least, but that won't do him any good here now. They need the 7 points in order to take control of this football game. Clock becoming a factor now. 6 minutes and 27 seconds showing on the clock here. State championship football game. We're only about 6.5 minutes away from the end of the season, 1989. Somebody going to be crowned the champion here this afternoon.
Michael Jones so far 7 carries, 80 yards, 2nd and about 9. They put a man in motion. They look to throw in the end zone. He's wide open. Touchdown! Kevin Morton with the touchdown reception. And Mexia has finally taken the lead in this ball game.
We've got a 21-21 situation. Mexia has a chance to take the lead, and they come with that unbalanced setup again, Skip. They went for 2 last time. Now they're setting up in the field goal, or the extra point position.
All they need is the extra point here. And we talked about Kiley Cobb with his chance to take the lead here with 6 minutes left. The kick is up. Cobb's kick is good. No doubt about it. And the Blackcats take the lead 22-21. But as we mentioned, 6:06 remaining.
And the Mexia fans celebrate across the way as they are in control here on a cold Saturday afternoon in December. I tell you what, nobody is cold over on the Mexia side right now. They're enjoying this. Watch the replay. Quarterback sets up, takes his time, throws, and there it is. Not too emotional. Just signals the touchdown, walks back to the beach.
Morton's fourth touchdown catch, as you see Chris Miller with the completion and wide open in the end zone.
Breakdown in coverage back there, Skip. The man was wide open. Shouldn't have been in that situation, but he was.
All righty. 22-21. This one will go down to the wire. There's 6:06 remaining in the Class 3A state championship ball game. We'll be back. Stay with us.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
Skip Boyden along with Barry Mahler. What a game this has been, along with the rest of the broadcast crew. Everybody who's paid their money into this one getting their money's worth. Ball taken across the 30-yard line and finally run out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Lewis on the return.
I tell you, Skip, Vernon's got time. 6:01 showing on the clock. Now they've got good field position, and they're a good football team, a good balanced football team. They can come back and get back on the scoreboard. This thing is far from over.
We talked about Mexia's comeback ability and chalk up another one if they can hold on to it. Now, we know the Vernon Lions are the big play team. Richardson coughed up one. Of course, he wants to avenge that right now. Let's see if he gets the pitch out of the eye. Lewis is wide out at the bottom of the screen, out of your picture. Collins long count and pitches to Richardson.
Won't go.
Richardson for about 2 on the play. Don Busby, number 60, one of the first men to get there as he celebrates, trying to fire up the defense. There you see the turnover factor. Who would think that Mexia's 3 turnovers compared to Vernon's only 1, and the Blackcats have fought themselves into the lead.
Skip, we were already prepared to talk about Mexia's turnovers as being the key factor in this ballgame.
Second down call, second and about 8. Collins straight back, looking, nobody open, ends up throwing it away, and he took a hit as he threw it. Number 87, Greg Jackson on the defensive line, put the pressure on and stuck Collins that time. Collins a little slow in getting up as he will go back to the huddle and look at a third down call.
5:18 showing on the clock now, time becoming a factor for the Lions. They've got to convert on this one, 3rd and long. And the momentum has swung over to the other side. That's the biggest problem they've got right now.
Third down. Crucial call here, 3rd and 8. Working out of the eye. Long count again. Draw play. Richardson has a hole, and he gets outside to the 45 and has the first down. What an effort by Richardson. Should have been brought down about at the line of scrimmage or even at the 40-yard line, and that quick burst of speed to get outside picks up the first down.
Richardson knew where the first down marker was, Skip, and he went for it. Watch him come across there. He'll take a hit. He just bounces off, tries to get a little spin there, and manages to go for all it's worth and manages to get the first down. And that's a crucial 3rd down conversion for the Vernon Lions. They have got to move the ball down the field now. 5:11 showing on the clock. Still plenty of time, but they can't afford to give it up at this point.
Deron Busby finally able to rack them up. 1st and 10 from the 47. Pitch. Richardson, far side, and makes a dive.
Good lateral pursuit by the defense that time. They had a lot of guys over there, not enough blocking to take them out of the play, and they managed to contain him on that run.
Lewis, the wide receiver, tried to make the block that time to spring him to the outside. but unable to do so. So instead, Richardson just tucks it over and just dives for a couple of yards instead of taking a loss.
Once again, the defense willing to give up the short gainer and trying to hold him back off of the big one at this time. Willing to give up the 2 and 3 and 4 yard carries and just trying to contain Vernon and keep them away from that goal line.
4:30 and clock ticking here in the fourth and final period. Richardson again, right at the line of scrimmage. First man, 87, Greg Jackson, to get there. We talked a little bit about what both teams would have to do in this ball game and the keys to victory. Let's see how they've done so far. Richardson has had a great ball game. Collins must establish the deep threat. He threw a couple of long passes, but that hasn't really taken place. Over on the other side of the football, they have to shut down Richardson. They are doing that right now. We'll take a look at the rest of them here in a second. Third down call. 3:58 left, third and about 4. That was Knight in motion. Flags on the play. Richardson makes the catch, and he will not pick up the first down, but we will have to check the flags thrown down at about the 50-yard line. While we check the flags, we can also take a look back at the rest of the keys to victory.
Well, no doubt about it that Richardson has been effective in the game, but he's also been shut down a time or two in key times, and this may be one of them right now. Call goes against Vernon.
We'll get the official call here in a second. On down the line, cut down on turnovers and penalties.
Well, Mexia has not done that, but they're leading the football game, so what can you say?
That's right. On down the line, no mental errors or turnovers for the Lions, and they have only had one. They've done a fine job. Here is the penalty call as we are back to live action, as you mentioned, against Vernon, and here's the call.
Illegal steal. Illegal steal, throw me off here. Third down.
All righty, that will back them up 5.
Third and long.
Third and long indeed.
This may be the play of the ball game right here. They've got to either convert on this one or at least get in a position where they can go for it because they are at the 50-yard line.
3:40 left. Up top is Lewis. On the bottom is Eric Knight, your 2 wideouts. In the 5-2 defense, they go back deep. Looking for Knight.
Yes.
Has the catch. First down at the 40-yard line. Eric Knight with the catch. And taking a good job that time and finding his receiver, Ken Collins. Chris Holly finally on the defensive tackle.
Skip, that was one of those times when Knight had to catch that football, and that was going to haunt him for the rest of the winter and maybe the rest of his life. They needed that one to keep this drive alive. It's first down. The Lions are alive. 3:11 on the clock. Here we go.
Collins, 6 of 12 for 85 yards in throwing the football this afternoon. Pitch to Richardson to the outside and bumped out of bounds at the 32-yard line. And this is where the yards will get tough. Inside the 3-minute mark, 3:01 left. Also, right now, you have to think about field goal as well. They need 1 point, or they need 2 points to win the ball game.
But their field goal kicker is not having a good day, Skip. He is not having a good day.
So it kind of changes up your game plan a little bit if you are head coach Leo Britton. You know you have to get down the field. Timeout situations, Vernon with 3. The Blackcats have 2. 22-21, Blackcats lead it. 2 wideouts at the top of the screen. On a second and about 6, Richardson on a delayed trap draw up to the 31-yard line. Third down and short. Rodney Freeman, number 88, who has been on some key tackles at the linebacker position, makes the tackle.
Boy, the adrenaline's got to be flowing out there right now. Clock ticking at 2:40 right now. Time becoming a factor. Vernon with plenty of time. They can march it in here. They've got good field position, but it's third down. They need to convert on this one. Let's see what they pull out of the hat.
Clock ticking. 2:26. Long count. Trying to draw him off sides. Unable to do so. Richardson. Penetration. Good job done. Number 13 to come up there, Jeffrey Proctor. I saw Proctor. Nobody came up and blocked him on the defensive play. He came up and stopped it.
Jeffrey Proctor, 167-pound senior cornerback, has done an outstanding job against Richardson today, and he manages to get right in there and shut that play down. It's fourth down, and this is the big play of the year right now for the Vernon Lions.
2:06 remaining. We'll come back with that fourth down call. You're watching the Class 3A State Championship on WFTV. There's 2:06 remaining. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Nothing works better. Gatorade is proud to sponsor high school championship football. Gatorade, the athlete's choice.
Skip Morton along with Barry Mahler. Barry, it is 4th down and about 3. What do you think the Vernon Lions are going to have to do?
Well, you're going to have to go to Richardson. He's been your big gun all day and doing a good job carrying the football. He's capable of getting the 3 yards here that they need for the first down. They've got to be thinking about first down and not touchdown here, Skip. They've got to keep this drive alive. Let's see what they call.
Mahea's defense, if they make a stop here, could be their best stop of the afternoon. Of course, Jeffrey Proctor, who just came up with a key stop on 3rd down. 4th down. Pitch play, Richardson, no! Good job, Chris Roberts, the linebacker, stood him up.
With 2 minutes and 1 second showing on the clock, all of a sudden, I tell you, all of a sudden the hopes for a state championship in Vernon began to fade here on a Saturday afternoon at Pennington Stadium in Bedford, Texas. The Blackcats ahead in this one, 22-21 in a first down situation. Hey, the Blackcats have coughed the football up 3 times already this afternoon, and it could happen.
It's not over.
It could happen again.
2:01 remaining. Mahea, all they have to do is hold on to the football. Timeout situations, both have 2. Burke works the right side of the line, only a couple, and Vernon may have to stop the clock here. 1:52 remaining. Vernon with 2 timeouts remaining. Blackcats won't even think about using a timeout here.
They are content to let the clock roll. They've got to move the football here, Skip, or Vernon's going to get another chance at this thing.
Mahea's first trip back to the state championship since 1949. They lost that one. They're trying to bring it home this time. Quarterback keeper right up the middle, still on his feet, and picks up a couple of yards. That was Chris Miller. And Vernon now wanting a timeout. 1:17 remaining. That will set up a 3rd down call. 3rd down and about 5. And there's time out on the field so you can get a shot at the Vernon coaches. And with 1:17 remaining, 22-21, we talked about Mahea's defense. Earlier in the ball game, they gave up the big play. Or, excuse me, they didn't give up the big play. They haven't really given up the big play all afternoon long, and the defense comes through when they have to. And they have so far this afternoon in the second half.
Skip, when you get to the state finals in any classification in high school football, you find enough talent that you just can't be sure how a ball game's going to go till the final seconds tick off the clock. And that's what we've seen here today. I mean, we had just about counted Mahea out in this thing in the 3rd quarter, and they have come roaring back. They've managed to work the offense very well. They've come up with a couple of big defensive plays. That big turnover had to help. And all of a sudden, they are in the control of this football game in the 4th quarter.
As you take a look at us, high atop Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas.
Texas high school football at its best here on a Saturday afternoon.
1:17 remaining. 3rd down and about 4. Now, you're thinking, Mahea, they have to pick up the first down. They pick up the first down, the ball game should be over.
And they do.
It's over at the 50-yard line. Chris Roberts on the carry, and that should wrap it up. As the Vernon Lions, all they can do is stop the clock one more time. 1:13 left. That should do it. And Mahea going to run off the play here again, right off tackle off the right side of the line.
Tell you, if there was any time to make an extra effort for that running back, he did it that time. I mean, the state championship literally on the line for Mahea right there. Clock ticking at 57. This one just about over.
Dwayne Wright along with Ernie Allen on that right side of the line. Doing a fine job that time. Jay Forsythe and Chance Lowry. Now a timeout has been, make it delay a game.
Penalty.
Yeah, delay a game penalty. 45 seconds remaining on the 30-second clock. Of course, we'll get the reset, but they won't have to worry about that. 2 more snaps and the game's over. What a comeback ability. We talked about the comeback. We showed you the graphic on the comeback. Chalk up one more for Mahea.
Well, I tell you what, high school football teams are not known for coming back. I mean, that's just not something that's done all the time. But Mejia's done an outstanding job of it this year, and it is going to win them a state championship here.
Quarterback keeper, right up the middle, only for about 1 or 2. And Vernon now decides to stop the clock, and that's the last time they could stop the clock with 41 seconds remaining. So far in this afternoon's ball game, hats off, of course, to Derek Richardson. 31 carries, 167 yards. And his one fumble, which cost, or which, well, I won't say which cost them, but Mejia was able to use that turnover and put it in the end zone. The only fumble that Richardson had this afternoon. But a fine job and an effort by him. 31 carries, 167 yards. On the other side of the football, Mejia so far, Michael Jones, 7 carries, 80 yards. Also Dwayne Cooper, 4 carries, 61 yards. And Burks with 6 carries for 50 yards. And Roberts with his biggest carry here in the late here in the fourth quarter. He's got 3 carries for a total of 18 yards. That gives you the idea of the running. We'll go over a couple of quick passing stats for you here in a second. They should just need this one, and they do, and that should do it. They have to snap it one more time depending on when they set it, and they haven't set it yet, and they will not set it. They don't even have to snap it. This ball game is over. Return on the outside mic, let you hear the fans on the far side as the Mexia Blackcats have won their first state championship. As we'll let them count it down for you with just 15 seconds remaining. And what a comeback it was. But like I said, hats off to the Vernon Lions. They dominated this ball game until late in the fourth quarter. 2 seconds.
There it is.
It's over. Mexia wins the Class 3A state championship 22-21 over the Vernon Lions.
Oh, I tell you what, Skip. You've got to hand it to both of these football teams this afternoon. There is no doubt about it that it is it's an exciting accomplishment to come to the state final. Whether you win or lose, just to be here is an accomplishment. And of course, our hats off to the Vernon Lions. They played their hearts out here this afternoon, but the comeback effort of the Mexia Blackcats was tremendous on this Saturday.
22-21. If we can make our way down there, we will have a chance to talk with Norman Cobb as he brings home the state championship to Mexia. And we will also have, hopefully, get some special interviews with a couple of players before we wrap things up from Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas. What a ball game this has been. 22-21, our final post-game show is up next. Stay with us.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Nothing works better. Gatorade is proud to sponsor high school championship football. Gatorade, the athlete's choice.
Welcome back, Pennington Field. 22-21, our final score here this afternoon. We had a chance to grab head coach Norman Cobb down on the field, and we've got him right now with a special interview. Coach Cobb, can you hear us?
I can.
Definitely. What a job it was. We had talked about the comeback ability, and they do it again.
Yeah, we've done it all year. That's 3 times in the playoffs we've come back 1 by 1, so our kids just never gave up.
Okay, can you talk to us about the good effort that Michael Jones did, and of course Burks did as well?
Yeah, we had good effort by Michael Jones on the good run. We had great effort by Dwayne Cooper giving us that second touchdown. And, both those kids did a good job.
You had 3 turnovers this afternoon. Did you think that was going to hurt you late in the ball game?
Well, it looked like it was. The turnovers always hurt, but we was able to overcome those.
Talk about the defense. What a job done by Chris Robert, the linebacker, who finally stood him up on that 4th down call, along with the rest of the guys at the linebacker position.
Well, he's played great for us all year long. He's a junior. We had to have him back next year.
Okay, and the special teams as well did a fine job. Of course, the punter didn't do a heck of a job. You thought that was going to get you in a hole. As far as the kicking game, we talked earlier, when it comes down to that, that would be an important factor.
Well, the kicking game is always a factor, and we did get one bad punt, but for the most part, the specialty team played pretty well.
So how does it feel? You finally bring home the state championship since you went back in 1949, lost to Littlefield 13-0. You come home with the trophy by one, 22-21. How do you feel?
Well, it feels great.
That's the best way to sum it up. Thank you very much, Coach. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty. Head coach Norman Cobb, state champions. Mexia wins it by a score 22-21. Our post-game show continues as we get set to wrap it up from Pennington Field. We'll be back.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KVWC, 1490 AM and 102.3 FM, the voice of the Vernon Lions, serving the Greenbelt with the best in music, news, and sports for 35 years. Also by the Vernon Daily Record, Vernon's all-sports newspaper. Larry Crabtree and his staff are proud of their Lions throughout the year. To subscribe, call 552-5454.
Back at Pennington Field, and right now we know that anybody hates to lose a state championship ball game, and hats off to both ball clubs, especially Leo Britton. And right now we've got him down on the sideline.
Well, Coach Britton, I know it was a tough afternoon for you and your Lions. You had an outstanding season, and it's quite an accomplishment just to be in a state championship game. What was the deciding factor here this afternoon, in your opinion?
Well, of course, the last fumble really did hurt us. Of course, we capitalized on a couple of those, so I guess turned about fair play, but I think that really would hurt if they went ahead and took it into the end zone and scored, of course, and making their 2 points.
Well, Mexia had been a comeback team all year. They had done it several times in the past, and I know you'd watched the films and studied a little bit. Looked like Vernon was in control of the situation at one time. Did you make any adjustments at halftime, change anything up after the first half?
Well, not really. We felt like we were moving the ball real well on the first half. We just continued to try to do just about the same thing. We had some drop passes in the second half that really hurt us. Bad things happen to us.
Well, Coach Britton, it's been an exciting season at Vernon, and I know how badly you wanted this one, but as I said earlier, it's quite an accomplishment just to bring a football team to the state championship ball game. Congratulations to you and your Lions for an outstanding season, and we'll be watching you in years to come up at Vernon High School, and congratulations for being the runner-up in the state championship game.
Thank you.
All righty. We thank both coaches for all they have done all this week for getting us all statistics as well as getting us everything that we needed to talk about for bringing you this 1989 state championship ball game. 22-21, Blackcats win it. We'll come back and end it from Pennington Field right after these fine words from our sponsors.
The 1989 Texas 3A Football State Championship is brought to you in part by KYCX 105 FM and KRQX Classic 1590 AM, the Tri-County leader and the voice of the Mexia Blackcats. Also brought to you by the Mexia Daily News.
The skyline of Fort Worth. We are here at Pennington Field in Bedford, Texas. And once again, the final score 22-21 as the Blackcats defeat the Vernon Lions. And let's take a look at a couple of the highlights of the second half to show you. Very first highlight, of course, Richardson, who has done a fine job so far this afternoon. And what a game he has had. We'll take a look at him with a 25-yard touchdown run as Richardson finishes the ball game, 31 carries, 167 yards. Pitch, Richardson to the outside, 10-5, touchdown. Richardson took it in from 25 yards out. The extra point was good, and at that time, with 10:06 remaining in the fourth quarter, Vernon had the lead by a score of 21-7. But it was 9:50 left in the fourth quarter, and Mexia started their drive to come back with Dwayne Cooper's 55-yard touchdown run. Let's see if Randy Miller will set up to throw or check the passing stats for you here for Mexia. Up the middle, there's a hole. See you later. And you talk about Mexia getting back in this ball game. Well, that's the way to do it.
And we talk about this
That
guy
definitely
being
was
an
the way to do it.
inspiration.
Dwayne
What an
Cooper in from
inspiration he is.
55 yards
Dwayne
out. A crucial 2-point conversion was made on down the line. You go and take a look with just 6:06. They finally wrap it up with Kevin Morton's touchdown catch. And the extra point also good in the final 22-21. As we size it up, your final thoughts, Barry, of this afternoon's game?
Well, the Mexia Blackcats are definitely the comeback kids in 3A football, and now the 1989 state champions.
Congratulations once again. Mexia wins it. For everybody who's had a part of this one, as you see their names come across the screens right now, for Barry Mahler, I'm Skip Boyden, and our director, Barney Self. So long, everybody, from Pennington Field. Once again, our final score in the Class 3A state championship ball game. The Mexia Blackcats 22, the Vernon Lions 21.